in Game 1. They were outplayed in Game 2. I mean, we can touch on that when Suomi actually comes up today. But it would be exciting to see how Suomi performs in the semis and potentially the finals today, as they will obviously need some results.
Ooh, sweet, sweet competition. How we love it.
So I believe we are going to get the party started here. I see the 14s in the chat. I'm going to put the 14 in the chat here, and Game 1 is going to be Bedouins. So we will have a 3v3 on Bedouins, not a map that we... Well, I should say we've been seeing a lot more frequently over the past couple months. This tournament brings in a lot of different maps. And yes, we will start with Bedouins 3v3 between SY and Frantic.
Oh man, this is where it's at, guys. Come on, this is such a good map we've been seeing a little bit of recently, and it's just so different. I love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 1. A Game 1 between the two best Chinese teams in the world. We have Frantic and we have SY. Both teams are here in the semifinals in a best of 5, and we are starting off on Bedouins. So Bedouins is a nomad start, and it has a shorefish focus. I think that I'll wait a few minutes, and we'll wait for the TC spots to go up, and then we can introduce the players. But with me is Barbecue Turkman. How are you doing, Turkman?
So excited. So excited. I've got my little heater on under my desk, which means my body's in Age of Empires mode, so we're just good to go.
Wait, I need an explanation for this. Isn't it summer for you in Australia?
It is, but it's been thunderstorm, rain, and it's like 1 a.m. right now, so like as cold as it's going to get.
Okay, so you have a heater underneath your desk. Interesting. Okay, that's new to me. That's new to me.
My little toes, man. My little toes need it.
All right. Well, good to hear that your little toes are ready to cast the games today, man. Let's introduce the teams here. I will start with Frantic, and you can see the Fat Dragon, aka Vivi. Vivi's here in the red. Now, I believe I need to bump up the game sound here. 1 second. Might be better. I'm gonna lower it a bit just because when it's late game, it'll be super loud for me. Yeah, we have Vivi in the red. He's playing as the Chinese. My apologies, everybody. In the yellow, then, not too far away from him, we have CL. CL is also known as Happy Happy. He's playing as the Persians. And then we have Tim. Tim is actually to the south of Vivi, and he's playing as the Ethiopians for Frantic.
Ooh, and get ready for me to massacre some names, just because this is how I roll in Age of Empires. In the blue, we have Xiao New. Let's see if I can get through this.
I think Shai Nu is how we're saying it. So that's
yes,
not a Shai Nu way to say it, man. That's the known way.
Excellent. Playing as the Chinese in the blue. In the green, we have Lix playing as the Persians towards the north of the map there. And then we have Yo, one of the probably more prominent players before this tournament kind of kicked off, I would say. And even now, just absolutely just kicking it. This is how he rolls, playing as the Britons in the teal.
Yeah, it's been interesting to me to see how they do the civilizations. I believe Yo had Ethiopians last in the best of 3, was it, in the quarterfinal. Now he's gone for another Archer Civ. So they're really putting the pressure on their opponents, giving Yo, probably their best player, the Civ that needs a little bit more micro. I do think that the Chinese player is always going to be the focus here, because when you're Chinese, you start with extra villagers, and you can already see that Shai Nu, he's on 11 villagers, whereas Tim is on 13 villagers. Vivi's on 13 villagers. So Vivi's had a stronger Chinese start. So I just find that will be very important. I was pointing it out to my viewers. I casted it on my channel last weekend, but I feel like the Persian player and the Briton player, they'll probably attack more in Feudal Age with this setup. But Chinese are typically going to be the boom civ. So it's important that that civ's allowed to boom and get to Castle Age and then get to Imp fast. Position-wise, though, for the teams, it's pretty good. They're all right next to one another. I would say that SY are a little bit further apart, but it's not like they're in one of those awkward situations where they could be 2v1'd, Turkman.
I completely agree there looking at. The only thing that kind of worries me for Frantic is, like, they're close together, absolutely, but if you look at how much more map control SY kind of have from the get-go, just from the location of their base, It kind of looks like it's going to be a little bit more there, but you've got the massive gap between Tim and Yo.
Yeah. So I guess there's a few ways to look at it, right? 60% of the map is currently controlled by SY, but at the same time, once the military starts coming out, they're not exactly close to one another to protect themselves. So we'll have to see how it all unfolds. I do think that Tim's archers will be very close to Yo's archers, so that'll be a fun thing to talk about, having the Britain and the Ethiopian archers against each other. Then you have the Persian player as pocket, I guess, for SY. They'll be going scouts, but that's not too far away from where CL is, and CL could likely be going for scouts. So I think this is one of the more even Bedouins maps, Turkmen, because sometimes it's just not even on Nomad starts.
Especially with the way the TCs can come up and lay out on this map. Unless you've got a good eye for it and you've done a little bit of practice, it's so easily to be caught unaware. And we saw that a little bit when people were playing on this map in, I guess, games previous. And that's where people really started to have trouble with it. And before people were starting to utilize the shorefish properly and being able to actually build out, we can see we do have a little bit of a wall off going up for CL at the moment and Shuni as well. So, interesting kind of plays there from them. I guess trying to keep, their base is nice and safe is kind of what we've seen on this map, I think, about 9 times out of 10 at this stage.
Yeah, and especially with CL, I mean, this guy has started walling in games at the 4-minute mark. That is no exaggeration. This guy likes his walls. But, it is smart in team games, and he's starting the walls now. What's interesting to me, as you can see, Lix is on the way to Feudal. He'll be there first in a second. He'll be going scouts. And you have CL behind him. You have Vivi behind him. You have Shainu behind him. What is interesting to me is Shainu's position seems to be very vulnerable if he gets pushed. Ponds are so important on this map because that's where you're getting most of your food. Players do not have farms. They're not even taking the boars and the sheep because the shorefish is faster. So you notice how he only has 3 ponds accessible right now, and if he were to get pushed, he could easily lose 2 of them. That could be an issue.
Looking at this, the way the wall-offs are coming up, I agree entirely.
Yeah.
Especially, up against CL. We know CL likes to get his walls up early. We know he likes that. But he can also be a super aggressive player. And if he decides to kind of take advantage of this, if he's scattered it out nicely, they are only palisades up. We do have potential to see any kind of units coming in that can really push that, especially as Persians as well, which can be a super aggressive civ. So I guess let's see if he loses control of those ponds or not.
Yep, well, walls will help hold that. Another thing is he doesn't have stone close by. The closest stone is actually behind Lix's walls, his ally. And just things to think about as the game goes on here. Lix was the first to hit Feudal, and he's now making his scouts. And these scouts are apparently going towards Tim, because Tim has been signaled. Tim is going to hit Feudal Age himself here, and I believe he'll build an Archer Ranger too, and a Blacksmith right between these little gaps here. There's the Archer Range, and then probably a Blacksmith somewhere. No sign of where it will be, but it's okay. It's on the right-hand side. If he completes those walls, he'll be in a good position to fast castle for his team.
Yeah, looking at the way all of this is playing out at the moment, we've got pretty much an entire team wall up for SY at the moment. I'm just cruising across it now. Looks like we do have Yo finishing that off with a Blacksmith, and that's pretty much it. They're looking super, super safe right now. Archery range kind of going up towards the top of SY's base there as well. Yo, that is, finishing off the gap in the SY wall off. And then the only thing I can see here is, if you have a look where Vivi's walled and where Tim's walled, there's still that opening in the center there.
Yeah, team walls have not been completed yet. What's really interesting is the fast castle times here. So, for Frantic, they have Vivi, who will be in castle age sub 16 minutes. Shainu is late for SY. He's late in comparison as the other Chinese player. Then you have Mr. Yo, who's clicked up for SY, and he's faster than Tim, who's on the Frantic team with their fast castle. So 2 players going fast castle. The Chinese players will be going knights and camels in a bit. Then you'll have the Ethiopian and Britain player for each opposing team going archers, while the Persian players for both are going scouts. And Lix has, well, I don't believe he's killed anything yet, but he's at least disrupting the eco of Frantic a little bit.
Well, he's getting in there, doing exactly what he can, and is forcing up just some palisades around from Tim at the moment, forcing up around any kind of wood line, just getting the damage and just being annoying. He hasn't overcommitted to the scouts, which is probably the big thing to pay attention to. And it looks like we've got our first players up into Castle Age.
Yeah, that quick wall was really impressive from Tim. Because so often you can miss out on one palisade and you can be down 4 villagers and that can be the game. So really impressive quick walling from him there. And I assume that we will see some pressure coming in from the Fat Dragon, from Vivi. Vivi is starting off with some knights and he's sending them forward. Let's see if he can find his way through the walls. I don't think he'll be able to make it through these massive team walls from SY.
I'm always taken aback on how well the team walls come up, and it looks like we've got Vivi's basically finishing that one off at the moment, joining up with Tim. Looks like they were expecting to kind of have a different situation going on with the team walls, which is interesting to me, because it could kind of say something about the communication that's going on here in terms of the build there overall. We do have, it looks like CL trying to get rid of these pesky scouts that have been roaming around a little bit too long from Licks here at the moment as well, with inside Frantic's walls, and it looks like a couple of spearmen in return there as well.
I like the move. You know, CL can't get through his enemy's walls, so he might as well send those scouts back and keep Licks out of harm's way. And Licks is trying to be annoying, but I doubt that will happen. And this is where we're going to see some interesting teamwork incoming. I think that 2 stables coming up now for Licks means he'll be making a lot of knights as well. And then we have the crossbows from Yo, will have the crossbows from Tim, so basically knights and crossbows from both teams. And Chinese knights, and then it will be Ethiopian crossbows or Britain crossbows. The fight's about to begin, man. The fight is about to begin.
Well, this is what it all builds up towards. We've got our players, they've set in, they've found their locations, they're getting their town centers out. Everyone's kind of decided on the strategy they really want to go for here. We've got our good mix of knights, we've got our good mix of crossbows in there together as well. Teamwork's going on. We can see where they're kind of sitting here in the middle between Vivi and Tim, doing a good job, looking for just somewhere to poke, somewhere to prod, trying to figure that out right now. Looks like Yo could potentially be the target here, just from the direction they're moving. Can lose that pond and kind of towards, I guess, the east of his base very quickly there. So it can push him back from. And I guess that's kind of where we're going to see at the moment. Has started to migrate to sheep already, though. So potentially going to be in a little bit of a safer position than if you hadn't thought about that already.
Well, Vivi was thinking about going forward, and then he realized that his ally on the left was being pushed. And this is not part of the plan. CL's castle time later than everybody, after not being able to do any damage with his scouts. And we have monks and we have knights in, and maybe camels now from Shainu. And I think this puts the SY team in excellent position, because even if Shainu doesn't do any damage here, that means that Mr. Yo and that means Licks will be in a position to push, and here they come, right? So they know that Tim and that Vivi are no longer available in the center, so they're going to push in the center, and this is starting to slowly unwind. But Vivi actually cleans up 2 monks from Shainu, and he'll get some hits with the knight, so Vivi saving the day here, at least for now.
Whoa, that's just classic Vivi as well. As far as a day saver goes, it's basically his MO in these kind of games. But that's exactly what you wanted to see there, because I was a little bit worried. We had knights in the eco, we had a couple of monks there to try and stop this, but a couple of camels in production now, so going to be able to deal with those knights, push them back. The monks, of course, going to help up, really turn the tables there overall as well. But they can't really push into the town centers or anything yet, so I would say that CL is still relatively safe, as long as Vivi's here to help him out.
Yeah, I think that the big problems for CL is his economy, right? He's way behind in economy now, and he's unable to push, he's just defending. And right when Vivi went over to save him, then Yo and Licks were able to push forward, and having Mr. Yo in these positions is just dangerous, because he has that Britain range, and already he's killed a monk, he's killed a few crossbows, he's done a great job getting these kills, and meanwhile Vivi, he's under pressure. He cannot be under pressure. He's the one who's supposed to carry his team, and he's 2v1'd right now.
Whoa, man, you've got Tim there trying to lend a little bit of support, but right now, against those Britons crossbows, especially with the micro we know of Mr. Yo, this is where it really kind of comes into it. If he can get some good micro here, some good play, kind of even it up, now the fact we've got Tim reinforcing as well, this is where we're going to see a lot of kind of the dictation of how the rest of this kind of area is going to flow right now. Who's going to have the advantage kind of at the start here, and who's going to be able to keep the momentum going.
Well, I think whoever wins this fight, well, if SY wins this fight, they probably win the game, right? Just a matter of how much damage they do while being here. Tim has done a good job. Tim has sent over lots of crossbows, and perhaps this is where SY considers running away. But look at Yo's micro, using that 1 extra range there to just outrange his opponent's crossbows. He's done a great job. 20 kills for Yo, and 4 deaths so far in this game. That's an insane KD.
This is how it rolls, man. That one extra tile, he utilized that forest perfectly, got a little bit outside of range, and managed to pull out of there without even losing many units. Mr. Yo, this is just how he rolls. He's all about that cost effectiveness, and he's proving it here just time and time again. All we need for him to do now is just kind of poke in, find a couple of villages, and then it's just true style from him.
Yeah, problems for CL. He's having some issues, and he's Persian, so he can't. You don't get a lot of monk upgrades as Persian, so you can't rely on simply just monk conversions. And that's why Tim is now over here. So this still keeps Vivi under pressure, and oh, it actually puts Tim under pressure now. Tim's TC is going to be denied. This is just not looking good at the moment for the Frantic team, but look at Tim on the other side. Tim, he's going to clean up all the monks. Every single monk gets cleaned up, and this lets CL get a breath of fresh air for the first time in a long time.
Whoa, that's the thing. This may be what stopped the massive momentum that we've been seeing from SY this far. And I say that, but you've got Lix, you've got Yo pushing in together against Vivi on the other side now. So
Yeah.
they're just not laying up here. They were looking for that breath of fresh air overall. CL might get it there for a minute, but the thing is, he's got nothing he can really contribute to the fight right now.
Yeah, this all stemmed from the fact that Shainu pushed CL, and every time they have to address Shainu, Mr. Yo and Lix are able to have so much success on the other side. And again, Yo has 30 kills and 5 deaths with these Britain crossbows. That is insane. It's just getting better for him. And it's not looking good for Frantic in game 1 now. They've really been unraveled.
Well, the other thing we're looking at here as well is the positioning of Yo and Lix. Basically, they've cut Tim off at this stage as well.
Yeah.
So Tim's had to run through with his crossbows there. We've got Vivi having to push in here as well to try and break this one. Because if they can start pushing on Tim's gold, which is literally just down towards their south there, with the range on those crossbows, he's going to be able to pick them off very quickly. But let's have a look. Does Vivi have enough knights here to clean this up?
Yeah, I think it's possible that SY went in a little bit too far here. And they couldn't really escape, so they were forced to fight or die. And they're going to fight and die. But I still think the next wave of coming in from SY will be strong for them, Turkman. I think there's so many more crossbows incoming from Yo as he is forward ranges. He's on his way to Imp. I mean, Frantic really needs a big engagement soon because they will not be able to deal with Yo once he hits the Imperial Age.
Oh, absolutely. He's going to get the bonus on the range for free straight off the bat. He's got a Siege Workshop up at the front as well, so he's looking to do damage at this point. He's denied the TC from Tim there, and it's sticking around. So Tim does want to get this TC up on the front here, which, in all honesty, to hold the push is what he's going to need, but at the same time here we go. We've got Vivi, we've got Tim at the front here. Looks like they're getting ready to kind of engage against Yo, but what has Yo got? Is Yo trying to get some siege out to deal with this already?
Yeah, he has a ram there. So, with the ram, that'll be a good situation. I don't even think they need siege at the start. Siege will, of course, help, but just the pure strength of the Britain crossbows, the range of the Britain crossbows will be insanity. And we'll see where Mr. Yo decides to go, because at the moment, Frantic are kind of waiting for Yo to arrive at Tim's TC. And Tim and Vivi, they find him. They see what's going on. Big problems on the other side, by the way, Turkman, for Mr. CL. He's been castled.
I'm literally sitting looking at this castle drop here just now, just trying to figure out how they're going to be able to deal with it. They've got monks behind it, which means the Chukanus are on their way out here as well. CL's retaliated with his own castle, but I don't know. I don't know how they can really kind of play back into this one, because I'm just looking at this huge group of knights gathering up from Lix. Yo is just that close right now to Imperial with all these upgrades he's going to get. You've got CL and Vivi looking at it as well, plus Shainu, and Tim joining the Imperial kind of club there at the moment as well, slowly making his way up.
Yeah, I don't think that you can afford to be... Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Lix with an awful engagement. That was really bad. Well, I was just going to say I don't think you can afford to fight this if you're in Frantic's position, but maybe now they could get a few hits in on Yo's crossbows. Still, though, Yo getting Arbalest Embracer as we speak. And unless there's a huge Maginot shot, will Yo see this? Okay, he does. Yo should still push right through. I don't know, man. Maybe Yellow, maybe CL on the other side. Maybe he'll be fortunate enough to take down the castles from Blue with his own trebuchets, because he'll be an imp. But it's just dealing with Mr. Yo now, who's at 61 kills, 31 deaths, and utilizing his amazing range.
Yeah, he's already got the 10 ranged Arbalest. He's already got chemistry on the way. The man has the resources to spend. He's getting the ups. He's going to make every trade worth it here. Looks like he's got a hell of a lot of rams sitting behind him as well. So he's going to be able to soak the crossbow fire from Tim if he does want to. And if not, if Tim doesn't engage it, of course, he's going to be able to start pushing through, break up that economy, break down those military buildings, capture ram on the way. This is where it gets brutal. And a second castle up from Shainu as well.
Yeah, second castle, Shainu will have 2 trebuchets, while CL will only have 1 trebuchet. And this is just becoming a problem now for Frantic. Bigger and bigger problems coming their way. And I think that Mr. Yo will have no problem killing a bunch of these stables and buildings that Vivi has. Because Vivi has to wait for a Cavalier upgrade. In fact, which stable is researching Cavalier? Good. It was a safe one.
Yeah, the back one, luckily. But here come those capture rams, and they are just going to begin melting through this. Going to lose both the stables, going to lose the monastery, potentially the stable after that. And look at those obelisks. That range is just showing how incredible they are. He's denied the entire woodline. They can't get units close to begin to engage this, because starting the engagement here, they're going to take so much damage on the way in.
And this castle is not going up. That castle's 60% of the way up. There's no way that castle goes up with Yo's crossbows in range. And again, problems on problems on problems right now for the Frantic team in Game 1. As CL has lost his castle, he's against Chukonu, which he can't really fight long term. And then, of course, the big problem is Mr. Yo and Lix. Yo has done all this damage with Lix being in Castle Age, man. He didn't even have an ally in the Imperial Age to accompany him. It's been all Mr. Yo.
Yo has basically been soloing this area right now. The range he's had has given him such a good way to kind of play this overall. Lix is about to hit Imperial, so we're going to see him in a minute. However, it means he doesn't want to engage with his knights until he has to. That's going to be the downside. Yo's going to be on his own for a little bit here until we get the upgrades from Lix, and then he's going to be ready to go. But looking in at the castles from Shainu, the damage is happening, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. We'll take out the trebuchets, though, so we'll ease that pressure for a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, if they kill these castles, then that means Blue is unable to make his Chukonu. And remember, we said he also had stone issues early on. So they've killed a castle, they've killed some trebs, but Lix arrives as he's getting his Cavalier upgrade. And despite Blue losing his trebuchets, he's going to build another castle, no problem. And Yo and Lix will be here on this side now. And CL is down to 120 pop. Vivi's down to 120 pop. Yo's at 190, it is 160 for Lix. So some crazy population numbers for them in comparison.
Nah, this has been fantastic play. SY have been in such a commanding position pretty much since the get-go. The aggression from nice and early, especially the way Shainu kind of stepped into the fray as well, and meant that really Lix and Yo could kind of just push in. They separated Tim nice and early as well. Obviously, that's kind of come back to it, but everything they've kind of done is laid up to this moment. And look at this, we've got Lix, he's got enough knights out. He's just going to start running around tearing down Eco.
Yeah, and now this is where it's obvious that Frantic are kind of out of options, it seems. They have no advantages. They don't have a military advantage. They do not have an eco advantage. They do not have a position advantage. So, SY, it should be cruise control from here as long as they don't make mistakes, right? It is their game to lose now. They just have to be careful not to make mistakes. 2 castles from Yo on the right, Turkman. Right on top of Tim's base, right on top of that TC. Yeah, that is yet another dominant move from the captain.
He's completely solidified this position here on the right. Tim's not going to be able to expand out. He's literally boxed him into the corner there. And this is kind of what we want to see. With the massive range Yo has as well, there's going to be a stage where Tim just can't back up any further and try and take a favorable engagement. And this is exactly how it's going. We've got Lix moving in now as well, taking out these Rams. The teamwork from SY in this game as well here has been phenomenal.
Man, was there a Black Friday sale on castles or something? 3 castles in the same spot. Yeoman now on the way. Elite Longbow on the way. How often do you see that upgrade? Look at these castles.
Oh, come on. Elite Longbow is where it's at. If Yo can push that range even further, this is how that KD happens, man.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Yo definitely carries his team to victory there. If you think back to last weekend in the semifinals, Mr. Yo was the one who carried his team to victory in both games as well. Obviously, Shainu and Lix played a huge part in this, but Mr. Yo has to be credited for his dominant display. That was a sick performance from him in Game 1.
He just made all the right calls. I don't think I saw a single situation there where he took something he really shouldn't have. I guess kind of fighting on the way out, or when they were stuck kind of in the base, probably more than anything. But end of the day, it looked like those units were going to be lost anyway. So getting in there, trying to do the damage, tried to get some harassment on the gold villagers. He just tried to make everything count. And I think his turnaround this game proves exactly how good he is, not only as a player, but the whole team in terms of what they've been capable of.
Well, if you remember, Shy Nu pressured CL. CL was the weak link for his team by far. And that's where it all started, because then Yo had the luxury to move forward. Yo had the luxury to use his range. If Shy Nu would not have pushed, if Shy Nu would have been behind CL, then I think Mr. Yo would have been assisting, kind of like Tim was this game. Tim was just helping his team. He wasn't really pushing. So you have to, again, credit the teammates of Mr. Yo for putting him in a position to do what he did here. But obviously a very good result for SY. Now this is a best of 5 for those watching. That was Game 1. And we're going to move along to Game 2 here in a little bit. I forget what Game 2's map is, but I'll make sure to tell you guys in a few seconds.
We are looking at, I think it's Dry River.
Cool. So
which is an exciting map.
Dry River is, I've heard that they're going to rename it to Sling the Indians. That's what I've heard. I'm pretty sure it's no longer going to be called Dry River. I think it's going to be called Sling the Indian Player. So that's what I expect. That's what everybody did on this map before, and I'd be shocked if we didn't see Sling the Indians again. But yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, that's what we're going to see. And that, when we're talking about sling situations, right, you're talking about one player on a team of 3 carrying you for the most part. So I assume that we're going to see, it's either going to be sling to Vivi or it's going to be sling to Tim for Frantic. I'm not really sure who, but probably Vivi. And then you have SY. They're obviously going to sling Mr. Yo, right?
Yeah, man, I want to really just say, yeah, that's just how it's going to go. But it's one of those things where I'm always into really seeing how, especially in team games, they can kind of break what's going on, do something a little bit different, and kind of take it out from there. But yeah, absolutely right. A full sling on this map has been so powerful in the later games that we've kind of seen, or the earlier games, I should say, that not doing it is basically a death sentence at this point.
Yep. Well, I don't want to wait too long here, man. I don't want to wait too long. I want to get into the game.
Oh, man, I'm just excited. That's the thing. Every moment I'm kind of sitting here waiting for games, I'm just excited to get going because I need to know who wins. I'm I need to see things finished.
All right, so Game 2 will be coming up between SY and Frantic, guys. And here we are. All right, welcome, ladies and gents, to game number 2 between, I almost said Vivi and Yo. Not what I meant to say. Not what I meant to say. We're gonna see.
It was the expectation.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of Vivi and Yo in this game, but this is actually a 3v3 if you couldn't tell. And this is between SY and Frantic. I was saying to my co-caster Barbecue Turkman before the game that they're going to rename this to Sling the Indians because I expect a lot of slinging. I expect a lot of focus on the Indians. But anyway, we have Vivi. Vivi's actually flanked for his team, playing as the Indians. His pocket is CL. CL is playing as the Saracens. Again, this is what I assume will be the slinging player, but things may change due to positioning. And then you have Tim in the green. He's playing as the Britons for Frantic.
For SY, we've got Shy Nu towards the north of the map playing as the Huns in the blue. We've got Lix playing in the pretty pink purple as the Ethiopians. And then towards the bottom, we have Yo in the teal as the Indians.
Oh, man, this is so interesting to me. I know that many people listening right now might not have seen the previous sets I casted on my channel last weekend. But what I was talking about is how ideally, the Indian player gets a large boom. Oftentimes, there's been sling, and they're sending resources to them. But the positioning is going to make this so interesting because you don't have the Indian players as pocket. They're actually as flanks, And traditionally, flanks have to be more aggressive early on, and they can't wait for Castle Age. And what we saw, and I guess if you guys didn't watch it by now, Tough Noogies, what we saw between Suomi and Secret last weekend was a situation where Tato was pocket as Saracens for his team, and then Viper was flank as Indians. And Tato, instead of full-out slinging, he actually made military because he felt like he needed to from this position. And I don't know, it just makes it really awkward to decide, do you stick to your strategy of slinging and walling, or do you actually try and play this out in the normal fashion?
And I'm really excited to see which kind of way they go with it as well. So for those in the chat who are, I guess, not exactly common with this map overall, because I have been seeing a couple of questions there, idea of this map is towards the center you will have a lot of shorefish. And the idea is it will push players forward so they move away from their town center. They will get a huge advantage from that shorefish in terms of their economy. And you can already see it. Everyone on the map has moved forward. You can wall off closer to the river there. There generally will be a few tree lines across the front. However, looking at it for Frantic, it's looking a little bit brutal for them at this stage. And then, of course, the sling that we were mentioning before, basically meaning other players will be tributing resources in. So it means you'll generally have two key players in the game if both teams are going for a sling, way in front of what everyone else can kind of be accomplishing. You'll find they're an Imperial super early, all the upgrades, insane amounts of units. And basically, it's just whoever can duke it out from there.
Yeah, there has been a slight difference in strategy. Indian players will always heavily rely on the shorefish, and typically what you'll see is they'll get to Castle Age faster than most, and they'll TC the center actually for more of those fish. But one different player, one different style has been Lix. Lix is actually bringing in the elephants, so you might not be a fan of fish. I don't know. But obviously, I mean, it makes sense to rely on that food a little bit more if you're not Indians, as Indians have the bonus. And yeah, Shinu's bringing in some of the elephants as well. And I did look at the Frantic players. They're not doing that.
Classic CL walls going up at the moment already. 6 minutes in, and here we go. Even though he's out the front taking those shorefish, he wants to know he's going to be nice and safe here at home. So this is kind of what he's going for. It's been the MO we've seen the entire time. Looks like Tim's already started his wall off as well. So we will be seeing, again, one of those gigantic team walls that was so common to overall.
So I'm just really curious now. Do we see massive walls from CL, a lot of pressure from Vivi for Frantic, while we see a fast castle from Tim, possibly, and then now you can't go fast castle. I don't know, man. I'm maybe archers from Tim. We have the walls from CL into Sling, and scouts from Vivi. That's maybe what we'll see here.
I think that's, from what I'm looking at the map here, that's about as close as I can get to see what's kind of going on here. Vivi's going up nice and early, so he's going to have that kind of advantage, and if he does get a couple of scouts out into play, but from there, and then of course sling Vivi forward from there, which kind of explains why we're seeing the walls. Well, it doesn't explain at all why we're seeing the walls from CL and Tim. This just happens every game, so really you can't make any assessments off that.
I mean, it's normal in team games, but goodness gracious, these walls from SY especially, to have so many walls up so early. This is before the 9-minute mark, guys, and they have half of their base walled up on a very open map. Problem with attempting to do that, Turkman, is someone like the Fat Dragon, someone like Vivi can show up, and Vivi can pick off those villagers with his scouts. So he's killed one Vill, and he's going to have more scouts incoming. So that's the problem with trying to wall up this much.
And I guess that's why they go for it so quickly there as well. They're trying to make sure they can get as much up as possible. And of course, if the scout's in the wrong position, it's not going to catch anyone. But we've already got the stable up for Vivi. He's already got a second, well, a spear moving across. He's about to have a second scout. There we go, pop out and jumping across the map. And it looks like he might just get there in time.
Yeah, they will deny the wall off for sure. Once the spear arrives and another scout. I assume so anyway. A nice move from Vivi just to distract that villager from Shinu. But Turkman, I'm continuing to look at the player's strategies, and it looks like I've been completely wrong. My joke just has fallen flat in its face. As usual, let's be honest, as usual. And, wait, hold on. Is she going to quick wall that? No, she won't. But no sling, Turkman. No sling. The sling's not happening. I'm surprised.
Man, sorry, I just got distracted just watching a crocodile kill off one of the spears over in the top of the map. That was just That was just interesting to watch. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of stables out in play right now. We've got a archery range from Tim, a second range coming up there as well. We've got CL up with his own stable, so he's going to try and get some pressure in from there. And Lix, of course, just doing his best. He's already denied all the walls here, which means if CL wants to come forward with some scouts, he can get in there and just get some harassment going as well. But look at the villager fighting that Shinu's being forced into here.
Vivi's micro has been so good. He's killed 2 villagers on the walls, 1 on the wood line, and now Shinu's under pressure, and Vivi's almost killing Lix's scout. A strong start and a needed start for Frantic with Vivi in the red, the fat dragon. Everybody knows it by now. I think Shinu is not going to be happy with his start to all of this, man. You know what? Hold on a second. Is your overlay set up to send you an alert when people send resources? I think we're seeing a sling.
Oh, it is. I might have missed it though.
Yeah, Shinu's sling.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so on one hand, I'm upset that I missed it. On the other hand, I'm happy that I got the prediction right at the beginning. They're slinging Yo. So Yo is receiving resources. So Yo will be going camels. Yo will be sending a massive amount of military out, and this is exactly what has been successful for teams on this map. And it's interesting that Frantic are doing well without that.
Yeah, the bit that kind of has me a little bit worried, is Frantic's been in the eco. Shinu has lost so many villages, and he's about to lose more because CL's back there as well.
Yeah.
The problem I'm going to see him run into, the amount of resources he's going to be able to contribute at the moment is going to be so much lower than if he had all this economy really to kind of work with. And even then, he hasn't walled in his gold towards the back, and CL's kind of about to pop around there as well.
And we're seeing a delayed sling from CL. So false alarm, guys. We are seeing a double sling. It's just how the sling was built up to. CL, he made scouts, and then he started slinging Vivi, and then we had an immediate sling from Shinu. So we were right with the prediction, I suppose, and let's see what Mr. Yo can do. How can he carry his team with his Indian camels? He should be able to, I imagine, and man, Tim is just going to throw away his archers here. That is not good.
It's making me a little bit sad watching that, especially considering Lix had his double archery up on top of this as well, was able to push this back so easy. So now we've got some archer support in for the camels as well. So in a good sense, he's really kind of well built up to this, actually. And looking at the front, and there we go. Tim's actually forcing a tower up right next to all those ponds.
So as a reminder to everybody watching this at home, we have 2 players, the best players for each team, in my opinion, Yo and Vivi, as Indians receiving sling, and they're going to have to carry their team. The players making archers, they'll eventually get a big ball, and that can be helpful, but they're not going to be near as important as the players making camels, and they're on opposite sides from each other. So we have Yo on the left side and Vivi on the right, and it just makes it awkward. And speaking of awkward, as you said, that tower was built from Tim to protect his vills. Yeah, that is not going to last against these Indian camels.
I just saw a lot of villagers pop out of that, and that looks like it's going to be some damage. Yo, again, showing why he's such a good player here. He's actually up in the north with a couple of scouts as well. Did manage to get 2 kills off of Vivi there, so really kind of showing how good his micro is, and he's on top of the mill again.
This is the Mr. Yo. I said this last weekend. This is the Mr. Yo of 2015 right here. Because in 2015, everyone said, oh, Mr. Yo is going to beat Viper. Mr. Yo is number 2 behind Viper, if not number 1. And he was incredibly dominant with SY, and then in 1v1s. And I'll tell you what, man, already 14 kills, 3 deaths in this game after having an insane KD in the first. Mr. Yo is, I don't want to say he's back, because he's always been good, but he is killing it. And Tim is just getting wrecked over here, man. He's lost his archery range. He's lost all of his archers in that archery range.
And those support archers from Lixie, this is the kind of thing I want to draw a little bit of attention to. Because Tim really could have sat behind the walls there, just slowly done some extra damage to the camels. But the fact that Lix had a couple of archers over here as well, pushed that back. So it means that Tim, it really isn't going to be able to do any near as much damage as he could have to Yo there. So it may seem like a small detail, but I think it really helps in the long run. And considering Tim's about to lose both his archeries, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, it's
and
not
look
good.
at that slow trickle. The slow trickle from Vivi trying to help.
Yeah, Vivi's going to have to carry this one so hard, but what do you do, man? Now the walls are up for the enemy team, so you can't really get into their base. It is funny to see CL running around with those scouts as he slings, and you get to Vilpic, but The point is, Vivi is going to be on his own, essentially, and I think that Lix will have a pretty big ball of archers in the Castle Age as time goes on here. So Yo is just ahead right now, and Vivi hasn't done a lot wrong himself, but his team is behind, and we'll see if there's a way back.
Which is interesting, especially considering the start overall, because really Shiny lost a lot of villagers. Vivi did a great job in through there, and really at the moment Yo's just playing so dominantly with his units, and that said, he might be about to get trapped, but he does have a little bit of archer support, potentially can use the heal there, but yep, there we go. Looks like Vivi's going to get out of there. Good stuff.
Just watch the Vil count from the Indian players, because they've also added TCs. So they have cheap villagers with Indians. Those villagers collect shorefish faster than any other food source in the game. And they're receiving sling. So it might seem ridiculous, but we could actually see the Imperial Age soon for Vivi and for Yo. But look at CL scrambling to try and get some walls up here because this stable's going to go down soon. Vivi needs to get here, man, to delay this stable from going down.
Oh man, it's just so low at the moment. If he's going to pull, there we go. And it looks like we are going to see a little bit of an engagement, a little bit of hill bonus there. Looking at some of the kind of the lower camels there from Vivi. But are we really seeing any kind of difference here?
Oh,
looks like we're seeing
close.
very, very similar upgrades.
So the benefit of being Yo is that Yo's actually closer to reinforce here. So he sends in another batch of camels, and they will hold this position. And this is so important for them. This is just before Lix hits the Castle Age, and we'll get crossbowmen. Credit to CL. If that was me playing, I would have lost a lot more villagers than he did trying to wall up behind and stall. But this is still a really bad situation for him, and he's going to add the stone walls now.
Yeah, not a good stitch. But look, if I'm going to trust anyone with walls, it's generally CL. The crossbow is going to come in quite quickly here. They'll be able to begin denying all these walls. And it looks like he's walling his economy basically away from the town center at this point, essentially.
Yeah. Smart move, but he's been forced into a watchtower. Vivi is no longer running through the center. He's running through his allies' base to support. And I think that now Mr. Yo, he's in cruise control now. He knows that he has the military lead. He knows that they have a positional lead. So I think he might even consider looking towards the Imperial Age soon. He is going right to Tim. Tim is halfway to Castle Age, but Tim, as you know, doesn't have a lot of numbers, man. And it's not a great situation for him already.
Tim definitely catching the wrong end of the stick here. This is not great. He's got archers to fight against crossbows. Those camels are just going to tear down those archer ranges again. He's lost the gold he had in the back there, so he's really not even going to be able to produce too much. We're going to have to see Vivi come over and help deal with this. But at the end of the day, Yo has more camels here. And oh, look at the villager train.
Man.
Ah, no.
He's lost 3 archer ranges. He's lost a dozen villagers or more. And still, Vivi does not have enough to help Tim. This is another strong game from Mr. Yo. 45 kills, 17 deaths for him. And he has carried his team really well in the first couple games. And I just don't know how you do this now if you're Vivi. I don't know how you catch up but with the 12 camels you're down. I don't know how you get to the Imperial Age faster. I just don't know how you can stop Mr. Yo from completely overrunning your team.
That's exactly, and it's the thing I'm kind of having trouble here dealing with. We had Yo over in Tim's base, taking out some, like, archery range, everything like that. Vivi tried to move in, still couldn't engage it. Then we had a second batch of camels come in from Yo and start dealing with those camels.
Insane.
I don't get it, man. Town Center's getting ripped down now by the Indian camels as well, of course. We've got the crossbows sitting behind it, so the camels are going to have a hard time engaging from Vivi here. And I just don't know if he has the numbers, but there's the answer, I guess.
Yep, there's the answer, GG. That was one of those moments where us as commentators, we had to act like the game wasn't over when it was already over. If we were to say that the game was over, then you guys wouldn't be as excited. You might click off for a minute. But yeah, I think we knew the game was over at that point because Mr. Yo, so extremely dominant there. So guys, as I said before that game, it's always sling the Indians to be successful. And what was the difference? The difference was Shainu went into an immediate sling, so he started sending resources immediately in Feudal Age, and then CL made scouts, waited a couple minutes, and then started sling. And the result was that Yo, since he received sling earlier, he hit Castle Age earlier, and right when he hit Castle Age, he never lost a fight. So this was the mistake. Frantic made the mistake that Secret did last week. Secret did the same thing. They had Tato make scouts, then they slung all to Viper, but Viper was already behind. So if we see this map again, and we will probably see it today, you have to immediately sling the Indians. It has to be that. The scouts that CL created got Vilpix, Turkman, but it just wasn't enough because he wasn't slinging early enough.
Well, no. As soon as one player is that far in front with the sling, when they're in Castle Age at like 14 minutes, a Castle Age army, you cannot deal with that with Feudal Age units. You just cannot. The trades are not efficient enough. You can't micro effectively enough because you don't have the ups to really be able to do it. And that's what we saw there. We had Castle Age units from Yo so much earlier, and then that just mass that he managed to consume meant that Vivi couldn't catch up. He just couldn't get there in terms of numbers.
Yep. Well, crazy game again from Mr. Yo. We'll have to get the how do you say... Someone who makes statistics, what are they called? Statisticians? That's not it.
A statistician?
It's not statistician either. I think it's
statistician.
Statistician. Whoever does the stats, right? We need to get Robo on the case. We need to get the KD from game 1 and game 2 and combine them just to see what Mr. Yo is at. There's the eco difference. I mean, the incredible thing about what Mr. Yo did was not only did he win the fight, not only did he have 50 camels in a 27-minute game, but he also had the Vil lead at 70. It was just pure insanity from him.
I kind of enjoy seeing maps like this at the point as well, because I like to see how they kind of develop, and the meta it's kind of fit into is Sling the Indians, and I can't wait to see until we see what the answer to that is, if there is one.
Well, I am so excited for the next game. It will be Hideout, and yeah, did you happen to see the games from last weekend, Turkman?
I haven't caught them yet, and I am so upset. I've seen the briefs of all of them. I've quickly watched through them, but I wouldn't say I've caught them well enough. So feel free to bring me up to date, because I'm sure there's people in the chat that haven't seen it as well.
Yeah, I uploaded it to my YouTube anyway, and it was a very popular video because wait, hold on, it wasn't Hideout, it was Oasis I'm thinking of. But anyway, Hideout is good. There was a couple Hideout games I uploaded as well, and that people casted as well. I'm just an idiot, and I was thinking about the Oasis game, which might be upcoming. Of course, Frantic would need a victory here. So, moving on, I guess, Hideout. Hideout will be coming up. I apologize. It's still very early for me here. That's my excuse, okay? It's still 10 a.m. But before we do start, I am looking at the Twitch chat here, and it's good to see everybody. Welcome to the stream, my friends. Throw me a salute or a hey guys or a what face, whatever floats your boat. And you guys can't see me, but good to see everybody here supporting good old Age of Empires 2. There we go. Everyone starts going with what faces. That's great. That's great.
Oh man, I actually love this map overall. It's essentially reverse arena, and I really enjoy that. Especially the fact that, man, you can just see so many interesting strategies on this map, especially considering it's a 3v3 overall as well. And I honestly can say I have no idea how it's actually going to play out.
I think that in-game I had the wrong casters during the matches, so I will have to fix that once we get into this match. And guys, we're just about 60 seconds away from the next match. Thank you for your patience. But yeah, good to see so many people hyped up to see games. You guys don't realize just how much I appreciate, how much we all appreciate seeing the numbers that we're getting in Age of Empires 2 nowadays. Really appreciate it, everybody. It's awesome to see.
That's it. I remember back in the day when we were having some of the best of 21s between some of the biggest players in the game. You had Tim versus Viper. You had Jordan versus Viper. This is going on like 5 years ago. Yeah, I'm old now. Back in these days. And you had like 200, 300 people turn out. This is before Twitch even existed off the top of my head, actually. And you'd have 200, 300 people. And you're like, this is insane overall. So seeing the numbers we get today, especially as we go up 1,000 kind of from there, that's beautiful. It is literally like near a single tear rolling down my cheek seeing something so nice.
So I can tell Zach is out there watching this, and I can tell he's just itching to have people talk about the standings. So bear with me here. Let's see if the standings works. I am controlling the scenes here, but this is not my normal setup. And all right, it seems like things are working. Robo did his job, guys. These are the
Hey.
current overall standings. So before we go into game 3, you can see that SY is actually second currently, and Frantic is third currently. Just 1 point separates them. So that means if Frantic were to win this, they would to come back here, they would need 3 wins, of course. Then they would move on to the finals and get more points. So it'd actually move into second place in the standings. So I could tell, I know Zach pretty well, and I saw him in the Twitch chat there typing it out. So he's probably sitting there like squirming, like, T90's not talking about the standings. These standings are so important. So I got your back, man. I got your back.
We're all about those stats here.
Oh, wait. Let's see. I have to add... Yeah, we're going to remove the caster text in-game, I suppose, because it wasn't really fitting as it should. But let me 14 here. We'll get into game number 3.
Ooh, this is where it's at, guys. This could be make or break. SY have been playing phenomenally thus far. Let's see if this makes another one. Are we going to get to 5 games? I want to get to 5 games. Are we going to? The way SY's been playing, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, I think Frantic, it was the early game decisions that really cost them. Mr. Yo is just much stronger in early game. So as we go into game 3 here on Hideout between Frantic and SY, I feel like this is a map where Frantic really have an opportunity to do something, because they're very good late game players. It was just simply the early game that put them behind to the point where they couldn't come back. But anywho, we have game number 3 between 2 of the best teams in the world. We have Frantic and we have SY. SY with Mr. Yo have been playing lights out Age of Empires 2 so far today. And, well, if they continue, they will move on to the finals, which we will also cast today. And for those all watching on YouTube, you guys will see the best games from that as well. So Tim is in the purple. Tim is playing as the Turks. So we are going to see a different strategy choice here, Turkman. Tim is as the Turks. His pocket is Vivi. Vivi's playing as the Franks. As you guys know, Franks is one of the best scout civilizations and the best paladin civilization. And then we have CL. CL's in the yellow playing as the Mayans.
For SY, we've got Shainu playing as the Franks. Then off the back of that as well, we've got Lix playing as the Mongols in teal, Shainu in the blue, sorry, I should add as well. And then we've got Lix in the Slavs. Interesting, as the green, the Slavs. I have not been seeing them a lot recently.
Okay, so prediction time with T90 yet again here. This is something we've seen a lot, so it's not the most impressive prediction if I get it right, of course. But I think we're going to see some more Sling, man. There's no other reason to choose Turks here unless you're thinking super late game. So I'm thinking we see massive walls from Tim or something, and then he slings resources to CL, who's Mayans. That's just my guess.
Yeah, look, I think every time we've seen Turks thus far, they've basically been picked for basically their gold gathering. And that's pretty much worked out in a sling. They take kind of too long to really get firing on all cylinders, unless he wants to go for like an immediate castle drop on top of Shainu. But at the same time, with the walls up, he's not going to be able to get close enough with the castle to really be able to do anything. So sling from there and then transition into gunpowder later, if it requires it. If.
Yeah, so just to briefly touch on a few things, because I know this tournament can be complex, and we have people in the community, whether that's on this stream, Escape's YouTube, my YouTube, whatever, or your YouTube, Turkman. I don't know if you're uploading these, but regardless of where you're at, there could be many questions, so I just want to remind people that there's actually a Civ pool for this set. So if you choose, let's say, Mayans here, then you can't choose Mayans in the next game. So your strategy choice is not only for this current game, but it's also thinking about the future games. And that was why maybe on game 1, for example, we didn't see Indians on Bedouins because they wanted game 2 to have Indians, right? So teams have to prepare accordingly. I do think we're going to see a little bit of a sling from Frantic, though.
Yeah, if there's not a sling, I'm going to be really, really surprised. But a good question for you. What does CL do when he starts walled in already? He decides to go out and make more walls. So, interesting kind of point of play from him. He's going to take this entire section of the map for himself. Doesn't want to risk it between his single layer of palisades. Moves out, gets even more palisades up.
It's hilarious. I think in game 1 he started walling at 5 minutes. Game 2 he started walling at 6 minutes, and I believe the first walls were probably placed around 5 minutes here again. I don't know if anyone has any wall emotes in the Twitch chat, but this would be a suitable time. CL, everyone knows he does this, but he's so good with it, and honestly, there's not much that the enemy team can do about it unless they send both their scouts over. And Lix and now Yo are on the way, so they're going to hopefully try and stop this.
That's man. He starts off with walls. He decides to go for more. I get he wants full control of the area. He's not going to be too worried about any archers pushing up against his walls now as well. But end of the day, it's just such an early time, especially when you start with walls, to commit a villager. That
Yeah.
I don't know. Like CL, I always trust in him when it comes down to walling. Anything across there, he's usually on top of things. But this series thus far, SY are just so far in front. I'm gonna have to start questioning decisions here.
He's going to commit a villager, but he's going to commit a villager, and if we're right, he will receive sling. So it's not the end of the world. I understand what you're saying. What Turkman is pointing out is that villager hasn't been collecting resources at a time when you're normally collecting resources. But he will be successful with it, right? He will be successful with it. And
Absolutely.
you'll probably need to wall a little bit more because Lix is going to be adding a stable, I think, and sending scouts against those walls.
Alright, so the bit I was starting to kind of have a little bit of trouble comprehending was the fact if CL is the one that does receive sling here, which we can kind of assume as mine's just a super strong civ in general, especially with the sling, I was really thinking this could be the side he was pushing on, and I was like, well, if he's going to be pushing over here, he should have enough military that he shouldn't need the walls, right? Which I know is not a big CL kind of thing overall, but I guess at the same time, if he does push the walls up here, and it means he's defended, he can actually go around the long way, which means he'll be defending Tim, he'll be defending Vivi, and if he needs to, he can repop at home. So I guess that's the way I'm kind of thinking.
I understand your logic. We have assumed an awful lot here, right? We've assumed an awful lot. And I think that we possibly assumed Tim's strategy incorrectly because it looks like a fast castle for him. But we can check up on him in a bit. What we do see is the forward tower from Lix and the scouts. And if someone's going to be walling behind, the best way to stop them from doing that is to go with the tower with your scouts. And now CL committed all those resources into walls, and it won't do anything for him.
Man, yeah, this is kind of, I guess, what I was really... I want to say I was expecting it, but something like this, I was expecting something to go wrong at this stage.
Well, I guess he's not very happy about this, right? He has to go home now. He is trying to fast castle on the back of this, and because of that one villager walling possibly, he doesn't have the resources he needs to go to the next stage, which is another problem for him. And,
you know who does?
Mr. Yo.
Mr. Yo might indeed have had the resources to go up, and he's looking at a 14-10 castle time.
Mr. Yo will probably not play a part in this until the 25-minute mark. He's going to be full booming, guys. Fastest castle time, 14-10, as Turkman said, and he'll just be adding TCs. He wants to get to the post-Imperial Mongol army. But the flanks are going to make this very different. And I believe Lix is... Look at this. He's gone through the walls of CL, and he goes, oh, I like those palisade walls, but I'm going to show you what I've got. And he's going stone walls now. That's amazing.
Alright, so really what we've seen here is SY combined with the walls of Shainu here have pretty much taken, I would say, like 65-70% of the map. They're really just going to box them in and basically just beat them into submission.
Well, now... I'm just really curious, what on earth was the plan for Frantic? Why do you choose Turks to have them go fast castle? Maybe it is for a castle push of some kind. Maybe Tim just builds a castle on the walls of Shainu and starts busting through with some Janissaries. I think that that's a really odd thing to see, simply because as time goes on, Yo will have Mangatai and Yo will push Tim back, but it seems to be the play here.
And the thing I'm worried about, though, is behind that, like you said, he can put a castle on the walls there, but then he's got no staging point to actually push into Shainu's base. That castle is going to be miles away in terms of what it takes to reinforce. Like, Genesis, no, they're a strong unit, don't get me wrong there, absolutely not, but it's just, it's odd. You are exactly right, it is odd.
Okay, so as a refresher here, as an update, there is a difference between the pockets. We have Vivi not only adding town centers for extra economy, but he does have a knight or two coming out. And it had Stable is sending knights to the other side with Tim. So that means that Shai Nu will be in Castle Age. He will not have Yo helping him because remember, Yo's just adding TCs, I believe. And he could be 2v1 by Janissaries and by Knights. So that could actually be a problem for Shai Nu, who himself is not planning on making any military. So perhaps this could work. And while Lix is slinging resources now, Lix is sending resources to Shai Nu. So after the Scout Rush and the Stone Walls, Lix is then turned around and he's sending resources to the boy in blue, who really needs some resources. And I like this strat. I like this strat a lot.
Look, it's working out pretty well at this stage. I'm still at a loss for how it's going to play out overall here, but I think there's definitely a favor going on.
Okay. I can't. These guys are way better than us. They're way better than most of the people watching. I think I saw Nikov out there, so I don't want to say everybody, because Nikov might get pissed off. But anyway, what was that TC placement from Shai Nu? What was that TC placement? He's deleted it now, which is the correct move. Maybe he's watching the cast. But that TC placement didn't make any sense, man. It was right next to the stone walls. But he has deleted it at least, and now he's going for his own walls, and he needs a lot of them as the pressure's coming in, man.
Smart man. Yeah, that was something else to kind of watch there.
Yeah.
And looking at the players right now, so we do have the aggression coming. Frantic overall. I don't think we've really seen any kind of stretch to go into military here from SY from anyone. You've still got Lix in the Feudal Age who's sending out resources. You've got Yo who's pretty much boomed up into some TCs, which, look, end of the day, booming up, it's going to be strong as far as that goes. You've got Shai Nu booming up into some TCs as well. He's getting a university up now. He's getting some more stone walls up, so you're going to try and delay this push. But the Knights at Janissaries, they will be moving in quite quickly, and it looks like we're not seeing any kind of villages move forward as well. So the stone walls may potentially hold if they get up.
Yeah, SY look extremely vulnerable right now. They're not making any military, really. And it's weird. It's just weird to see. And here comes Vivi. Here comes Tim. They actually see this one stone wall, which only has 500 HP. That's going to go down pretty quickly. It goes up to 800 HP because it's fortified wall now. But I believe that Shai Nu needs to wall more. He needs to wall more.
Here they come.
This is so awkward, man. This is too awkward, and they're waiting for Mr. Yo. It's going to be some time until he can really help.
I'm actually a little bit stressed for them right now. Like, they're in a better position overall, especially with the boom. And look at this. There's pressure going on. Yo puts up another town center.
God.
Like, I think he's just relying on the fact that Shai Nu's going to take the hit here, and he's just going to have to let... there might be a blood sacrifice going on.
Yeah, You're damn right about that, man. That's what this comes down to. It comes down to Mr. Yo getting to post in before anybody else, and Shai Nu's taking a lot of losses, but it's what he needs to do. What I don't understand, what's really baffling me with all of this, is Shai Nu gets destroyed. Why are you sending resources to the guy that's just fortified walling? Why is Lick sending resources to him? Why is he not sending resources to Yo, who's going to bail him out of this situation?
That's I get the bit I don't understand here as well, because obviously Yo is literally going to be the cavalry arriving.
Okay.
Like, that's what his entire plan's going to be here.
I need to interrupt you because we missed something. We missed something. I knew it was coming, but Lix was trying to stonewall behind, but CL has plumes through. He's into the economy of Lix. So Lix, who's in Feudal Age, is forced to go into defensive towers, and he will not have near as many resources to sling now. So this is doable. This is very doable for Frantic, as they're busting through the walls in the north, and they're already through in the south.
Man, this is such a bizarre game overall. Like, I don't think this expecting. Like, when it comes down to it, the choice here, it looks like the walls are up again, so there shouldn't be too much here that really CL can do at the moment. He's got his defensive castle up, so he's not exactly getting aggressive with it overall. But in the base right now, we've got a couple of these just plumed archers, and what are they going to do? They're just going to run around and delay everything. That's what they're perfect for.
Mr. Yo, he's performed his strategy correctly. I just think the team strategy has been weird. He's on 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 TCs, but he doesn't even have a castle yet, you know? So can Mr. Yo come back into this with fully upgraded Elite Mangadai and steamroll and carry his team, because he's really going to be needed.
Look, I think it's absolutely an option. It looks like we've got Shainu putting a castle up defensively as well, so that will delay the push for now. It will have to pick a different section of wall to kind of bust through, potentially, looking over towards the fortified wall here, towards the, I guess, most north kind of area. And that castle's going to kind of defend the gold there a little bit. It'll defend the TC he's got up, but end of the day, they still have no units really to kind of deal with this.
Well, what did we see in Game 1? All Mr. Yo. What was Game 2? All Mr. Yo. Game 3, SY's behind, and who are they putting the pressure on? Who are they putting the most of the weight on? They're putting it on Mr. Yo. He's going to have to carry his team. He's about to click up to the Imperial Age. He does have enough stone for 1 castle. 2 or 3 will probably be incoming because he's heavy on stone. Question now is it doable, Turkman? Because the enemy army is through at Shainu's base.
Well, the thing I'm probably more worried about, because Shainu's kind of set himself up with... He's got some castles. They can push in against Mr. Yo here as well. That's the only other thing I'm really kind of worried about. But there we go. Yo's throwing up his castle defensively. He's not going to be quite a soft target. But really, right now, Frantic, they have complete map control. They're basically dictating the pace of the game. Obviously, once Yo gets to Imperial...
Sorry, Turkman.
You're right.
Shino, what are you doing, man?
Oh, no,
You had one job. You're getting sling, and your main job is to wall up, and there's a hole there now, and things are already bad for you. And now you're going to lose so many villagers, man. That could have been avoided, but credit, again, to Frantic, making these aggressive decisions, recognizing that Yo will eventually be an imp. And wow, they've just done so much damage here, Turkman. That was a mistake that was avoidable. That was an avoidable mistake for Shainu.
Look, and if you look behind it as well, you've got Vivi going up into Imperial. You've got CL going up into Imperial. Yo's not even getting there that much quicker.
Yeah, and Vivi with the forward stables now, so he'll be sending knights right through this hole. I actually need to make a new hole, but it'll eventually get through, I imagine. And, you know, Tim is now in Mr. Yo's base, distracting him. Mr. Yo will be making the Mangadai. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's just, sure, Yo will be an imp, but Vivi and CL on the enemy team will be an imp. And CL is probably going to kill Lix at this rate.
Yeah, it's... I'm just looking at this, and it's not looking good. I really thought that kind of starting this one, SY kind of had the strategy here, and I was questioning for it. I shouldn't have been questioning it. That's exactly what happened now.
Yeah. So Mr. Yo, normally I would say Mr. Yo has 10 minutes to do damage. He has 10 minutes. He has to push. But I think he had about 5 seconds, like 5 seconds in the Imperial Age before Vivi, and yeah, now they're immediately behind again, and I just think Mr. Yo doesn't know where to go. Does he come to the south? Does he go to the north? He can't be in both places at once, and he really has to be.
It was really interesting. We went from seeing like 70% of the map controlled by SY to like 70% of the map controlled by Frantic now.
Yeah.
Frantic can basically have the choice of where they want to push in, where they want to try and pick and prod, do the damage they can. And then what you've got, Shiner is doing his best with a couple of, I guess, just knights to try and hold this one back at the moment. You've got Yo pushing around with his cavalry, or I should say, anyway, the Mangadai, the cavalry archers, doing the best he can, getting a castle up on the opposite side now as well to kind of secure his economy. Going for his third castle, I believe it is now. So he's not in the worst situation here, but essentially he's playing a 2v1 game.
Yeah. Yeah, and Vivi, this is all before Vivi sends in paladins, which he's building on the other side, so seems like a very difficult situation. Maybe, just maybe, if Shainu is able to wall, if he can continue with the walls, and man, as he built them, then Yo can focus on the south, and if Yo can push back CL, then maybe Vivi will be out of position, and that's the way back here for Mr. Yo, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's obviously been awkward, to say the least, for the SY team.
Yeah, we've got at the moment as well. Shinu's trying to hold against Cavalier that just have so many more ups. And look, Franks v Franks generally pretty even, but with those Imperial upgrades, like the +4 armor, this is where it really kind of comes into it. The Cavalier, he's got an extra 24 health on each of his units there.
Yep.
It just can't be cost effective. You can't survive against it for long. Yost, that said, still getting more and more castles up. He's just building as many as he can. He's going to try and get that critical mass of Mongol archers up. And when that kind of hits, absolutely it's hard to push into. But remember, we've got Turks sitting behind this as well. Turks are just one of the most brutal civs in the game when it gets to post-him. If they've got gold, I don't know what he can kind of do to push into it.
Yeah, I believe we'd probably see... Well, there's some petards from Tim. Let's go. He's going to try and bust through here, but... oh, he's got a whole batch of petards. He's got 4 of them, guys. 5 of them. 6 of them. 7 of them. Twitch chat's going to like that. But, you know, I think he could go Cav Archers. He could go Janissaries to accompany the Vivi Paladins later on. So, as you said, strong options for him. A castle now from CL. So many castles going up for him. And Lix is without a TC at the moment, guys. Lix is without a TC.
This sigh I had just then, I don't know if you could hear it, but no TC. Yeah. Man, it's just something else. Yo trying to put up more castles, trying to help defend this, push it back. Look, if he can push it back, it's going to be great. But at the same time, I don't think Yo's even got a single trebuchet there to kind of deal with. In fact, no, he's got 2 there just towards the top a little bit more. He's going to start dealing with these castles, but that means at the same time, Shinu's on his own for now.
Yeah, that's the problem. CL might not win this fight if it was a 1v1, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to delay his death, keep these castles up, and it's up to Tim and Vivi to push through on the other side. I think it's 3 petards to get through a piece of fortified wall, so you need a lot of petards, and that so far is not enough. These stone walls holding for Shinu, so Vivi hasn't gotten in yet, man. Vivi has not gotten in yet. Is this possible for them to hold and push back CL on the other side?
Look, it's definitely possible. We've got fully upgraded Frank Paladins sitting there. So the moment it's kind of over, it's over. We do have the Oniga from Vivi, though.
Yeah, he's going to cut the trees at some point,
That's
right?
it. It's going to have to go for the cut. And at the same time, though, I think there's still the castle there. It's not perfect, but he's going to be able to make this a hell of a lot harder.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. CL has lost, what is that, 3 castles on the front? He could get wiped here, and Vivi's trying to build stables and support, but Vivi's vills might even die. They might not even be able to build stables, so as long as Shinu continues to wall, they could do this. Oh, Vivi tries to cut through! Okay, they cut through to the castle, man. They've cut through to the castle. Shinu with the quick walls was able to see that, fortunately. Wow.
This did become a lot closer, though. We do have Shinu going up into Paladin now, so he might be able to potentially hold this against the Paladins if he can get the numbers. Looking at the other side, Yo has pushed the entire thing back. Look at those Mongol siege rams go. This is just bizarre. Trebuchet is pushing forward as well, so he's going to be able to take out that castle. The stunt right now that CL is going to be feeling is brutal.
CL cannot do anything against siege rams. That's the problem. He needs Paladins. We have Bombard Towers going up for Tim. They know they need to stall this out. But yeah, Mongols have an amazing time once they get siege rams against Mayans. Now the castle's been walled up. Oh, don't tell me that's a hole. No! Sorry, I just had to throw my mouse. He let him through. Oh boy. Well,
alright. Paladin's about to crack in. We've got some reinforcements there from Yo as well, so it's not lost. It's not looking great, but it's not lost.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Mr. Yo, I mean, he's in that prime position. He does have his Mangadai, and he's been able to send them to this side. But it does seem like Vivi has sorted out a situation with CL on the other side. And now that it's Plumes plus Paladin versus just Siege Rams and Mangadai, the Frantic team will start pushing back.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, though, look at Lix. Lix is out of the game. Yo's basically playing 2v1 here.
Yeah.
And then you've got Shinu doing a good job as well. Like, they're cleaning up these Paladins as they're coming in. The problem is they're starting to get into the economy. And look at this. As soon as kind of Tim decides to really kind of push this one, that's where there's going to be problems. He's getting light cavalry out. He's doing what he can there. But, man, like, actually, looking at that, like, what is Tim really up to? He's got a couple of stables in the back at the moment.
Oh, yeah, that's funny, man.
Bombard Towers with CL. But what else is he doing?
Well, he's going to go full trade boom, right? Full trade boom, sling resources, and Bombard Towers. And then eventually he'll go heavy camels. But the benefit of having Turks now is simply for the bombard towers and the trade, believe it or not. So that's what he's doing. He's doing that on both sides. I love the raiding with the Hussars. That's a funny move. He's been real stubborn with that. So
well, I guess that's the thing as well. If he keeps the raiding with the Hussars up, he can delay that trade as long as possible.
Yeah, and SY, where are they going to trade? Can they trade in the southern corner? No, they cannot. Can they trade in the northern corner? No, they cannot. So they don't have access to corners to trade, and so Frantic should be in such a strong position now, controlling so much of the map with their walls.
Oh, look at that. Licks hit Castle Age. That's cute.
He's getting his gold mining upgrade, man. That's a solid gold mining time, if you ask me.
Alright, we might be seeing a swing back to SY with the gold mining upgrade.
Yeah, the lack of trade is the big issue now. Well, there's many issues for SY, but that's the biggest issue because they're going to run out of gold. So, trade, so important to have those distance between the markets because you get more gold per trip. And it's looking scarce at the moment, especially when Tim is going to raid with the Hussars. That's a funny thing. Tim is being so stubborn with the towers, with the Hussars, and yep, the GG is called.
There we go. That was really interesting. Vivi, though, he had Paladins absolutely everywhere that game. Really impressed with how he played it out there. Tim got nice and aggressive early, and I guess Shaidu did a great job holding. An absolutely great job holding. Like, he still has a lot of Paladins left here in the end, but looking down towards that southern side, the amount of plumed archers there, the Paladins there to back it up, and then bombard towers coming up behind it. How do you compete with that?
That strategy, it has to be said. I know that this is a little bit harsh, but that strategy made no sense whatsoever for Mr. Yo's team. I don't understand it. Like, they had the Slav player go scouts into towers and then stone walls, which I like. And then he went immediately into sling, which I like. That's a cool strategy. But he started sending all of his resources to blue, who was just stonewalling anyway. So at the very least, maybe send the stone to the guy if he needs it to stone wall. Maybe send the resources he needs to research fortified wall and build a university. But don't send all of those resources to the guy who's not able to fight. Send it to Yo. Then Yo can be an imp faster, and then maybe then I get the decision. But, whew, man, that's good for us, man. That means we get to see our Oasis game next.
This is it, and I believe you had something to say about the Oasis game too.
Yeah, I said quite a few things, so we will get to that, I promise you. And here's the military stats for those watching. There's the eco stats. It really came down to the strategy decision from Frantic was much better. Controlled the corners. We're able to push. And I'm just going to bounce right out of this. And we are going to go to the next game in a little bit.
And I am excited.
I'm excited too, man. I'm excited too. Good to see so many people in the Twitch chat today. What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you guys. People have been coming in throughout this best of 5, so I feel like it's worth pointing out that after this best of 5, we will have Suomi, also known as Finland. Finland versus Aftermath after this. That will also be a best of 5. The winner of each best of 5 will move on to the finals, which is also a best of 5, Turkman. We have our work cut out for us today.
Absolutely, and I am just totally happy with it. The more best of 5s, the better. Make them best of 7s. I just want to see games at this point, and I am happy about it. Just the teams that have made it as well. In fact, every team that's been in this, we're not getting bad games from anyone. Even when, like, looking back, Secret vs. Suomi, it was 2-0, but end of the day, it was good games. It was good age. It was just strategies to let people down and the kind of way they went into it, which I really like, because end of the day, Age of Empires is a strategy-based game. It's not about who has the quickest mic or anything like that. Sure, it helps, but seeing the strategies really start to overcome everything is what's been probably most interest to me.
Well, I think the best example of that has to be Aftermath. And I don't mean to talk about this for too long. You guys that know me, I like to talk. It's my thing. But, Aftermath is, I believe, probably the most skilled team as far as individual talent goes in the game, and yet they're sitting back or 5th or 6th place overall, and that's because of their lack of strategy and perhaps preparation and reading the game. So, as you said, surely these guys are skilled, but it does come down to strats, and we're going to see some crazy strats on Oasis, man, because that's what's coming up.
This is what it's all about. Bringing us into those bizarre strategies that we don't understand exactly what's happening, and then going, well, that's a game.
All right, man. So I hope you guys are ready for your walls. Many people...
CL certainly is.
Yeah, these guys probably woke up on a Saturday and they're like, man, I can't wait to watch some Arabia games. Nope. You are getting some stone walls, so Fat Slob, if you're out there, man, this is for you, buddy. This is for you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 4 of a best of 5 between Frantic and SY. These games have all been good today, and we have another exciting Oasis game. And I'm just going to repeat myself because I know that those on YouTube might not hear all the previous conversation. This is a map where we've seen a lot of walling. This is a map that oftentimes goes late game. And with me, I have Barbecue Turkman. Turkman, before I let you get to it, I'm going to introduce Frantic. And for Frantic, on the flank, we have Vivi, a.k.a. Fat Dragon, a.k.a. Really Big DL, a.k.a. So Big DL, a.k.a. 5 centimeter DL. He's playing as the Spanish. His pocket is CL. CL is playing as the Mongols. And then on the other side, actually pretty far away from the team, we have Tim. Tim, they switched the colors up on us here. Tim has the color that Yo used to have, so I have to keep that in mind, but he's playing as the Huns.
So starting at the north and going clockwise around, for SY, we have Yo in the green playing as the Italians. We have Shainu in the blue playing as the Saracens. And last but not least, we have Lix, SY's kind of anchor we've had going on at the moment, in purple as the Spanish.
Any guesses on how this is going to play out? There's a lot of real estate in between the players that players will probably try and wall off. But
yeah, look, prob some walls. I'm feeling some walls on this map. I don't know why, but I think it's going to happen. But honestly, I think it's going to kind of look a lot like the last map, even though the fact we still had the wood kind of in the middle there. I think players are going to be fighting for ground with the initial walls, and that'll kind of dictate the pace of the game.
Yeah,
I'd be really surprised if we see the strategy work out the same. If it does, I'm ready to, like, I don't know, I'll pull some of my hair out at that stage. I'm just not going to understand. I'm ready to go into full Age of Empires meltdown. But at the same kind of time, I think, end of the day, we've got a Mongol player again for Frantic.
Yep.
And really Spanish. Like, we've got some just heavy civs here. And that's the thing. They can all really push through this very, very quickly and very, very brutally. They've all got something they can be doing in pretty much every age.
So, interesting, Tim has actually signaled the northern corner and the western corner. So he must have been saying, hey, that's where we're going to trade. These are the corners we're going to take, so we need to make sure that there are walls there. That way we can control those corners in late game. Something to think about. To those watching, either on Twitch or on YouTube, I highly recommend that you go back and you watch the games between Frantic and Heresy. If you watch my YouTube, I uploaded the one Oasis game, which was exceptional. I'm sure Escape has all the uploads. I don't know who exactly was casting it for them last weekend, but whatever floats your boat, whoever you fancy as a caster, watch it. It was an awesome Oasis game. And in that game, the players on the flanks went for aggressive strategies just so they could wall. So we might see an aggressive strat here again from the flanks. So they're able to wall up, and then it'll be down to the late game strengths if the teams get the walls up.
I like the idea of that, especially because if you're playing a little bit more aggressively, it means you can take a lot more ground. And kind of getting that ground early on, like you were saying, this is where really the big thing is, especially for trade in the late game. Whoever's got basically been boxed into that corner, not only are they basically struggling to kind of push back against everything because they've got little map space to kind of work with, but their trade's going to suffer as well. So if it goes into late game, they're going to have next to no resources to push back, and they're basically reliant on trash, which, look, the teams we've got here at the moment, none of them have, like, absolutely horrible trash, but, look, not the best situation to be in.
Yeah, trash in team games are... If you're making trash in team games, it's normally a sign that you're dead. Unless there are a few exceptions. There are a few exceptions where you can work in halberdiers, but if you're relying on trash in a team game, it normally means you're dead. But in the South, Lix and Tim will be really fun to watch because they're really close together, and both players already jockeying for position with their scouts, and that's a small victory for Lix at the start. And Lix is playing as Spanish, of course, and we have Huns for Tim, so potentially 20 pop scouts, 21 population scouts for both. Saying that, Tim's actually going to gold now, so maybe he will start off with some man-at-arms and go into archers.
Hey, look, this all excites me. As long as we see a little bit of brutality at the start here, Looks like Yo's going nice and forward, trying to get up some extra walls where he can. He's got the barracks up at the front as well, so kind of signaling that he does want to get nice and aggressive here with some forward building placements. And that's what I'm about here. I really want to see some nice early aggression, especially if everyone kind of starts duking it out together as well. If we can avoid a sling, avoid kind of a big wall-up game here at the start, I'd be happy just to mix things up and see something a little bit different here.
What's impressive is they are all doing the exact same thing on the flanks. Even the military counts are almost dead even. You have man-at-arms being created. We have a forward now from Vivi, so the Fat Dragon's coming forward, while Yo is defending with his own militia. He does not seem to see the villagers right now. And on the other side, we have a forward from Tim as well, so the Frantic players, they're going for man-at-arms, probably towers on both sides, and oh boy, this is going to be crazy. Are you ready to rumble, man? We're going to see some boxing fights between these villas.
This is where we're at right now. This is what we want to see. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a lot of villagers moving out at the moment from Vivi. They're pushing forward, denying the deer. And look at that, taking out there's a militia in there as well. On the other side, however, we have Tim moving forward, getting the tower up. The defensive tower coming up from Elix as well. And we've got some scouts in there from CL helping out as well.
The scouts were huge there. The scout choice from CL was huge. And having Mongols made this possible because you could send the scouts so much earlier. Now, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of towers, and I'll be honest, I tend to feel bad for players when they're in these situations. But I could tell you, I'm feeling really positive for Tim right now. You know what? Have I misjudged this one? He doesn't have any vills to repair his tower. It's so awkward, kind of hard to say. Oh my god.
What are we witnessing?
Yeah, these are towers, man. This is the beauty of
This
towers
is
in Age of
brutal.
Empires 2. Oh my god, the repair from Tim. That tower was down to 5 HP and he's repairing it just in time.
This is, man, the men-at-arms are doing work in the south. There's scouts here as well, doing absolutely everything they can. There's a lot of villagers getting lost here. I'm not sure exactly who's in the lead. That said, in the north, Vivi getting pushed back now. The militia moving up, doing what they can. Men-at-arms, but here we go. He's going back for it now. He's going to try and deny the wall off.
Yeah, Vivi has to go back because Vivi's 2v1 on that side, but Vivi has not died near as hard as Lix has for SY. Now, saying that, I don't know how, but Lix has somehow held his position here, which is so important because he needs those stones. Man, that could have been the game right there. It could have been the game. If Lix died, he wouldn't have had his stones, he wouldn't have had access to that gold, he wouldn't have been able to wall up. But he's stabilized. And now on the other side, Vivi could be wrecked.
Oh, man, if this is how it turns back into, Shinu's out there with a couple of scouts, getting in there to kind of lend a little bit of a hand. We've got Yo doing his best. He's still got one militia left there in play. However, the men-at-arms upgrade going to make a little bit of a difference here.
Yep.
Trying to take as much of the deer as he can at the moment as well. Trying to keep that resource income up. But the tower looks like it will cement the position.
Yeah, there's so much going on there on both sides. We couldn't really talk about the situation. And the situation we're in is that, well, first of all, Yo didn't actually even drush there. He just had militia, which made it tough for him to hold. But Vivi, he's stabilized. He's actually pushing back a little bit against Yo. And then Lix, he might have held, but what did he have to lose to hold? Well, he lost most of his villagers. He's only at 19 vills. So he lost probably like 10 villagers, 12. I mean, hard to say, man, but that was just disastrous for him in the end.
This is best. This game, ladies and gentlemen, is going to take us on a little bit of a journey. I have a feeling we saw something in the Dark Age, Feudal Age. We're going to see something in Castle Age. The Imperial's going to be off the chain if we get there. This is what we want. And Tim's back with another tower. It worked out so well, he's decided, let's go again.
Yeah. Well, he already has a big advantage over Lix. He knows that much. I don't think he needs to overcommit. Frantic playing so well. Are we going to see Game 5, guys? Because CL... he's picked off a villager from Yo. Yo's now under pressure with more towers coming forward. Possibly going for something like a Drush Fast Castle, but that means... well, this is what happens when you try and do that. It's not looking pretty for him right now, on both sides.
Yeah, CL, however, already moving on to Castle Age. And on top of that as well, playing as Mongols, he's got option after option here in terms of what he wants to go through. A couple of strong Castle Age units, and he can basically start ending economies.
Yeah, I think that all he'll need is a few knights, and he'll send the knights to Lix, and Lix will have no support. Shinu's only in feudal, so Shinu can't help. And Vivi, he doesn't need to push in any further, guys. I think that he'll already see this as a victory for his team. He just needs to not take too many losses. And Vivi has enough spears to allow him to build more towers and hold a forward position. I don't think he'll be complaining too much, and I don't think Tim will be complaining on the other side either.
Mate, it's just... I don't even know what to say here at this point. It's just in such a bizarre situation, and so much ground here has been taken by Frantic. And now just making life so difficult now. Frantic are still... They're just demolishing here. That's why I can't even get on their feet.
Think back to Game 1 and Game 2 of this series. SY had pretty dominant displays, pretty dominant victories. You think back to Game 3, Frantic, they had a dominant display, and it's been going even better in Game 4 so far. This is a best of 5, man. This is a best of 5. This is certainly possible for Frantic. If they win this game, they go on to the final game, which would be a huge spectacle for us.
And at the same time, we've always said as casters, the moment things kind of stop working and, you know, playing standard isn't getting you there, you need to do something special, you need to do something different. That's exactly what we've seen here. We've seen probably about as different as it gets. Tim's come forward just to absolutely abuse the front as much as possible. Same from Vivi. And look how it's working out for them. SY are out of their comfort zone here. They weren't really prepared for a strategy like this or weren't really ready to kind of jump into it. And this is where we're at now.
In a way, it's been different. At the same time, on paper, they had the same strategies on the flanks, and just one team destroyed them. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, Turkman, like, as when you're co-casting with someone, you normally try and like build them up. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of shit. I think it was kind of the same, man. It was like kind of the same, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Give you that.
It's just better execution.
The same kind of play. I'll give you that.
Yeah, fair enough.
The commitment to the shitstorm was something else.
See, that's you can tell Turkman's a quality caster because he was able to think quick on his feet there and save his reputation, Kappa. But anyway, here come the Knights from CL. I'm obviously kidding. And CL, just look at the timing, man. Look at the timing. He shows up. He kills the archers from Yo. And now Yo has to stone wall. He's already lost a lot of positions. So he has to stone wall to keep the Knights out. And it just doesn't look good for SY. You can't really say anything else. Doesn't look good for SY. Tim will be in Castle Age soon for Frantic. Probably soon after. Vivi will eventually get there. Can SY hold on to maybe get to their late game strength with their civs and do something there? I don't know what that would be.
I'm kind of just looking at it now and seeing exactly how this is all playing down. Shino up in a Castle Age, we're kind of expecting that. Moving towards Camels, of course, going to be able to help kind of combat the Knights over in Yo's base. But at the same time, we've got a couple of Camels coming out from CL here as well, so making sure he's got his grounds covered. Tim, not really being able to kind of push in too much more now overall. We've got Licks kind of walled in. It is only Palisades, but it's enough to kind of hold everything back for now. So yep. CL could potentially move over there, but he's really trying to help it come over here with the pressure. They know Yo has been the star player at basically this point again. If they put the pressure on him and basically pull him out of the match a little bit more, it's just going to bode well for them.
So my fans out there know that I am a huge fanboy of the Dragon, and I'm going to say I don't completely agree with what he's doing right now. I get the forward towers, good idea to get good positioning, but you already have 3 towers up. I think the better use of your stone, as Vivi loses 2 vills unnecessarily, I think the better use of your stone would be to just wall behind all of this and use the rest of your villagers to add economy, because the problem for Vivi is he's not anywhere near Castle Age at the moment, so he can't overinvest into this, and I think he will fall back now and make those walls. I just think that he could have been collecting more economy. He didn't necessarily need to build those extra towers that he went for.
Yeah, and maybe. Look, the idea again was good. It put the pressure on. It's denying that stone at the front, so he couldn't really kind of push back to that. Yep. Denying the extra gold at the front there. But the thing is, I guess, with Shinu kind of playing the way he is here, he is giving Yo some breathing room, and that's pretty much denying the effect of the towers there.
Yeah, Yo's getting breathing room. Yo will be in Castle Age as well. And speaking of breathing room, Lix doesn't have much on the other side. Lix will be in Castle Age himself soon. Remember, he secured his stone, so he could actually build a castle and go for conquistadors. Tim is currently massing the Cav Archers, though, so I think Shinu might need to shift sides to help there.
Man, Tim has really been enjoying his cavalry archers of late. That's definitely something I have noticed, even as Turks, you name it. He really kind of likes that play. Shinu really trying to make something happen over in Frantic side of the map here. Got a couple of scouts moving around, but like one camel's going to clean that up easy enough. I reward the effort and the dedication of thought there. How much it's going to help? Probably not much.
This is a winnable game for SY. This is a game that, if they won, would be a ridiculous victory, because remember, Lix lost half of his economy at the start of Feudal Age. But it's winnable, because Vivi's so late to Castle Age, he doesn't have much of an advantage over Yo unless you're talking positioning. And even the wall off was denied, so Vivi couldn't even get the stone walls up because he was too busy building those towers. And again, I just didn't get the move. So crossbows from Yo and camels from Shinu, they could go through palisade walls and start pressuring Vivi soon. And, you know, on the other side, Tim, while he has a ball of cav archers, he could actually go in too far here and be caught out by Shinu's camels. So this is doable for SY. They have the lead at the moment slightly.
That's the thing. The pressure was there. They lost a lot of map control overall, absolutely. The thing is, though, Frantic continued to try and pressure, and that's exactly what you were calling out with those towers there in kind of literally a couple of minutes ago. They committed too hard to this, where they could have just been like, all right, we've got a little bit of advantage, we've got it, let's wall up, back off, and kind of build up from there. But like you were saying, Vivi's only just kind of ticking into the castle age now. In fact, he's the last one up to castle. Shinu is basically doing what he does best at this point, and that's basically doing a little bit of damage, supporting his players. And now Elix is up in a castle, so he's managed to recover. He's getting the conks out, so he's going to be able to compete with the cavalry archers as well.
Yeah, Tim has lost most of his cav archers inside Shinu's base. And man, props to Blue, props to Shinu for playing so well here. He had to help out against Vivi. He's done that. He's killing more Vivi villagers. He's helped out against CL's knights and camels, and he's also helping against Tim. He's playing the carry role right now to get his team back into this. And man, I just feel like that's all wasted opportunities for Frantic, and it's all on Vivi, really. Vivi didn't need to keep building towers. He should have just stonewalled, and this would never be happening. Yo would never be where he is right now.
Looks like we've got Tim going for a little bit of engagement here. Could be caught off center on this hill, though. We have both sides.
Yeah, he can't be taking that fight. He cannot be taking that fight.
Maybe a little bit of an overextend.
Yeah, possibly. Now it's questionable whether you want to take any engagement, because your opponent has two. They have melee and they have ranged. And Vivi's castle has just been denied here next to the stone wall, guys, by Mr. Yo. It's all falling apart for Frantic.
This is proving exactly how all good the players are in this entire tournament, and it's something we don't really get to see that often. Usually, as soon as a team's on a roll, that's pretty much where it's rolling from. But at the moment, we had Frantic. They had a great push at the start, and look at this, some good plays, and SY are back into it, and they're even starting to look pretty dominant here.
Very dominant, very dominant. The only question mark I have over them currently is just the civs they are playing with, because Shinu is Saracen. So as the game goes on, he'll probably stick with his camels, which is not a bad thing, but it's arguably worse than what CL has in Mangadai, and CL's probably building a castle now. Yes, he is. So that is one thing that Frantic have. It has to be Happy, aka CL, our yellow player. He has to really carry his team to get Vivi back in the game and to get Tim back in the game, because Tim is, well, he's not out of the game, but he's not winning with military anymore. He's going to lose his archer ranges at this rate.
Oh, this is not what I want to see. And CL is kind of doing, again, playing that support role so well. Moving in with a couple of camels, couple of knights. He's got a castle going up over in Vivi's base as well. So doing everything he can. Basically the same as Shinu here to keep his team in the game here.
Ooh, really awkward positioning for the players in between the archery ranges. There's some weird pathing going on. And I'm trying to see who's winning this. I believe that SY will continue to win this because of the sheer numbers of camels from Shinu. And look at that. He cleans up the cav archers. He cleans up the knights and camels from yellow. They're going to take out these ranges. There's no doubt about that.
That was beautiful watching that unfold. The way man, CL was in there, ready to the damage, but the backup camels from Shinu, the mass, it was just too much. And even then, check it out. We've got a castle up from Yo on the front. We've got a mangonel there that he can use to pressure the walls. And he's looking at getting nice and aggressive there as well.
Remember in the very beginning, what did Tim do? He signaled the western corner, and he signaled the northern corner. And now, who has the northern corner? SY. As the game goes on, both will be trying to trade. And the trade is now going to be significantly better for SY. and they don't even need to push much further. They just need to hold those corners. And once you get to the hour mark, if you don't have a corner to trade from, you're not getting near as much goals. And that is a problem that the Frantic team will now face. And Yo is actually going to add some stone walls just in case they get pushed back. He knows how important the corners are.
I like it. I really like his decisions here. The decision-making in this game has actually been phenomenal for pretty much SY in getting back into the game here. And they've done an amazing... Looks like they're even going to catch a couple of conquistadors there, trying to get tricky, force them back to the castle. And that said, the south side of the map's basically cleaned up at this point.
Yep.
And Tim, he doesn't have any castles out here to help him from CL. Vivi was lucky enough to get a couple support castles, some support Mangudai. It's going to take a lot more to reinforce and help Tim.
But you see what Tim did. You see how he had forward pressure, but he walled up? That's what Vivi should have done. If Vivi did that instead of building that one extra tower, the walls would have been up and the game situation would be so much stronger for them. So that was really what I was mentioning. I was bringing it up because it's so damn awkward when you don't have any stone walls in the good positions. I do think, though, that for Frantic, CL, he's going to be on his 4th castle here in a second, so it's definitely possible that he could push Mr. Yote back and they can get the corner back. We might be on the way to seeing that, but still, as a team, Frantic are a little bit behind.
Yeah, look, that Mangonel, and what are we going to have from Mongols? We're going to have Mangonel, Mangudai, pretty much you name it. Trebuchet's off the back of that as well, if he wants to go that range. Rams. It is a huge death ball they can kind of get going here. And if he can get in that one, it is very, very hard to stop, because they just have the answer to just about everything, being one of the most versatile civs in the game.
Oh my god, there's a hole for Tim. There's a hole for Tim right there between the wood lines, and here come the camels, and here come the conquistadors.
What?
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh, man, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised anymore, but holy cow, man, or holy wall. For Tim and for Vivi, this is not what they need. They need a victory here. And Lix is just going to continue in with Siege Workshops. Shainu will continue in with Camels. Ugh, I don't know what you do in CL's position now. Do you send help, or do you continue to push the north? Maybe a bit of both.
Well, I guess the thing is, at the moment, he's got momentum on the north. I think breakaway, get that cornerback, like you were saying, make that difference for the long game, because there's just not much there anymore. He's dealt with Yo's castle, he's dealt with the crossbows, and he's going to move in. He's honestly might even, again, blood sacrifice from Tim here and go in and try as much as possible. But Tim is managing to hold it with some cavalry archers, but we literally got to witness before how strong the conquistadors are versus the cavalry archers. When they get in on top of them, they can just absolutely cut through them like butter.
They're going to be zealotry camels for Shainu as well. Heavy camel with zealotry means they'll have 170 HP. So Tim is already struggling versus castle age units. Imagine once these are heavy camels, Tim could actually just flat out die unless Mangudai come and support.
Yeah, the big problem I'm kind of running into here, and what I'm really seeing is, down in the south side, you've got Lix pushing, you've got Shainu pushing, they're doing a great job there. Over in the top, you've got Yo sitting with a couple of Arbalests, you've got some units there from, oh man, I'm missing it, from Shainu as well, and we're starting to get that Genoese crossbowman coming. CL is the only one doing anything, defending players, trying to push for entire Frantic team right now. So Tim's basically been left to his own devices here. The cavalry archers are standing a little bit. Like you said, heavy camel's about to pop, and when that does, this is going to be able to absolutely take the thunder away from these cavalry archers.
Yeah, and CL's not exactly pushing any longer in the north now. He's taken what I could see as a good engagement in other situations, but is not good enough. As I say that, more Mangudai and more Trebs coming, but the problem again is for poor Tim, who, you know, credit to him, he's kept his Cav Archer numbers up. After having to rebuild ranges, he's building a defensive castle. Maybe he can hold, but I just don't know if he will have enough here. It's pretty close, Mr. Turkman.
He's absolutely doing the best he can here, and the Cav Archer numbers, I'm impressed he's managed to keep them up for so long. And I guess the thing is, he hasn't really lost too much of his economy looking into this. Vivi finally clicking up into Imperial. We've got Lix clicking up into Imperial. Tim clicking up into Imperial. Everyone's trying to make something happen here, but the pressure at the moment's definitely going in favor of SY. They're pushing in, they're getting the damage they can done versus Tim. And looking at the top here, at the moment, SY are holding. It's not well, and that castle's about to go down, but the hold is there.
Is it shifting, though? Because the castle goes down for Yo. He does not have enough stone to build another castle. That's a lot of Trebs, a lot of Mangudai from CL. Here comes Shainu to address that, so maybe it'll be different, but is this possibly shifting? Still feel like it's unlikely, but maybe if CL can afford to send some population to help Tim, they'll be in a nice spot. Maybe if they wait for Vivi. Vivi is on his way to Imp. Maybe Vivi can hold, or sorry, push back. There's possibility.
Yeah.
It's just looking tough at the moment. But let's keep in mind, Frantic have their corner in the north again for trade, so they have that.
Well, that's it. They've got options. It's not too bad overall in terms of what we're looking at, but it's just getting so hard for them to keep the push going on at the moment and anything like that. I was a little bit worried for Shainu that he had spread a little bit too thin, trying to defend Yo, trying to push Tim on the other same time. But looking at it now, it looks like it's kind of added up and he's all right. The castle's up on the front for Lix, so he's got a little bit of a staging point there. But Tim has a trebuchet out and he's going to force an engagement here. And it looks like we might be going into a little bit more of a treb war.
Tim has Vils still in the southern corner, and he's walling the trade. They do not know that these Vils have survived. Tim is still here, and Tim, if he walls this successfully, will be extremely annoying to the trade. This is funny stuff. If he pulls this off, this is one way that they could maybe come back here. But on the other side, CL is now 2v1. Yo is here. Shainu is here. And, well, he has a lot of castles, but he's going to need a lot of Mangadai to keep these castles up, because the power is coming from Yo now with these bombard cannons.
Man, Italians, once they get into their stride, are such a hard civ to deal with, especially combining the Genoese crossbowmen. You add in there a couple of good arbalists, you add in the bombard cannons. They are just a brutal range civ. And look at that, he's been pushed off the castle. The first castle will go down to the bombard cannons. It looks like we might have seen a little bit of an overextend there from Shainu, copying damage from both castles there and the Mangadai. But if he sits back, they will be able to push this one back. The same said, though, Tim has lost the castle in his base. 3 trebuchets out still, however, though, so we'll be able to push this. And CL is down there with Mangadai, giving him a hand as well.
I think this is doable. This is winnable for Frantic with the power of Mongols and power of CL. He's holding on his own, mainly in the north. But here comes Vivi. Vivi's sending Cavalier. And then in the south, that's a lot of Mangadai as well from CL, where they could potentially hold. So it's still on SY to push this one. I think it'll be dangerous for them if all Frantic players are fully boomed and making their ideal military compositions. And here they come, man. They're killing Tim's trebuchets. They're pressuring Tim. Tim doesn't have a lot of cav archers to help at all. They need to keep this up, man.
Lix is kind of cruising out there behind lines, not really getting in the damage he can. They need to keep their momentum up at this stage, because you're exactly right. You've got Frantic. They're moving into exactly the combinations they want in terms of units here. And look at this. Lix has had to back off. He's got no support there anymore.
Yeah, conquistadors just aren't good anymore. Typically, you'd have the Spanish player go for Paladin like Vivi is, but the reason that they're not going for Paladin is because they already have a melee in Shainu. So if you're going to make a composition switch, you'd have to go Mameluke as Saracens, and then Spanish could go Paladin. But I say it all the time, I don't think Mamelukes are very strong right now. And, oh my god! Oh my god! Look at this! Tim just deletes a hole in his wall, and CL's going in, and CL's gonna kill some of the trade, I believe, for SY. So it's possible, man. Like, because of the Mongols, this is winnable for Frantic. This is totally winnable.
Absolutely. Like, looking at the trade that they've got up behind this as well, they've taken back that corner they needed. They're holding it pretty well. Yo doing his best, but he's down to skirmishes, and as you were saying, as soon as you cut in there, bit dead. The trade's starting to go down as well. The conquistadors just aren't going to stand up at this point versus the elite Mangadai, like you were saying earlier. We need a transition there, but they can't afford to make it because it means Shainu's got to make the switch. They've got Lix has got to make the switch, and the amount of upgrades, the amount of just investment Lix has to make to get there as well. It's insane.
Oh my god, and I love the way CL did this. He ran into the south and then he realized it was a bad decision, so he went back to his base, or back to Tim's base, and then he runs in the north. And Italians, which is what Yo has, is a very slow civ. He won't be able to catch up with this. We'll keep an eye on these Mangadai and see if CL does any damage with that, because we need to focus at Tim's base where Tim and CL are just getting wiped up by Lix and Shainu. They finally are pushing more.
Man, I was a little bit worried that the Conquistadors were going to be in a little bit late and too much meat shield was going to be lost. And it looks like that is a little bit what we saw there, but the Camels, they're still going.
Yeah. Camel's still pushing in. Shainu's got to be distracted now because he needs to get to the trade. Look at all the juicy trade going down. I'd say that is worth it for CL as long as he doesn't lose momentum elsewhere. Oh my god, and what a play. He split up his group as well. And Shainu has just clicked this group, and now he realizes that the split has happened. So just getting some great value out of these Mangadai.
But looking at Tim's base at the moment, I don't know if there's anything there to hold that. Tim is basically just building pikes at this stage.
Yeah.
And Versa Conquistadors backing this up. They are going to get absolutely massacred.
Yeah, CL they really need to wait for trade now. That's the problem. They haven't had the trade, and wow, after CL committed his Mangadai into the corners, they didn't have the numbers to hold, so Yo's even pushing back against CL and against Vivi, who is still not on Paladin, by the way. That's how bad it is for Frantic. Vivi, 54 minutes in, is not on Paladin.
Oh, not a good thing to see. And it looks like Tim is starting to clean things up. The Conquistador backed up. But we've still got camels in the base, but they're getting cleaned up by the trash there. Looking over at Yo's base, again, down to trash at this point. Like, the trade is slowly coming up, but
yeah,
those walls from Tim just going to be annoying as hell to be dealing with that amount of trade that's going to be going on there later.
Yeah, when you're in this position, as we still see 4 Mangadai from CL running into the trade, when you're in the Frantic position, you don't have the gold to make defense. And any gold you do get, you have to put immediately into trade for later return. So essentially now, it is on SY to push Frantic. They need to push Frantic because Frantic doesn't have the gold to defend. They can't give Frantic the time to trade. I really do think, though, that as the game goes on, this could be better for the Frantic team if they have their trade, because they'd have Paladin, Mangadai, and then maybe Heavy Cav Archers or Paladin from Tim. And that would be really tough for these compositions to deal with, potentially. So they need to continue. They're doing a good job, but they need to continue. If they do not, they might regret it, and they might see themselves going to a Game 5, SY.
I'm looking at Tim's base. The damage is definitely starting to get done, but it's definitely, he can shake it off, absolutely. He's got the trade behind it that's starting to boom up now. He's got a little bit going on there. He's not losing all his military buildings quite just yet. That said, though, the siege rams are there. Yo tried to make a push with the trash before, but the Mongols just ate it alive, which is just pretty much what they do. But looking at the amount of camels we've got from Shainu up in the north side of the map as well, could potentially help. But look at all the barracks coming up. He's trying to get the counters out as well, trying to make that investment in terms of a good trade here.
Yeah, it's looking less and less likely now for Frantic, simply because in the north, I think the trade could be killed soon. Yo is getting close, Shainu's getting close, and as we said, the trade is so important. Vivi now getting Paladin, hoping that will be enough. And CL has to send a group of Mangadai back down to Tim's base. Man, I don't know how Tim's still at 150 pop. It's pretty impressive how he's been able to do that. And Frantic actually have slightly more trade than SY team, which is also pretty impressive. Well, we'll see. CL's Mangadai are much better than the Conquistadors in this situation.
Oh, man. I'm just watching those Mangadai just hold ground so well. Like, you said it from the start. Mangadai, the Mongols. This is where the difference is really going to be made. And that's been proved the entire match we've been witnessing.
I think if Tim can make enough halbs for in front of this, he's at 40 trade carts now. So he could maybe just hold for a couple minutes, start adding stables, think about going Paladin. The problem area for Frantic is the north, as Shainu and Yo are pushing back in, but CL, he has the castles to reinforce, so it's possible they can hold this, man. I mean, I've said this for a while now, and it's actually looking more bleak for Frantic, but I still feel like it's doable. Look in the south.
Well, it's finally happening. You've got Vivi's moving into Paladins. He's going to have the ups there. The Bombard Towers, however, are going down for Lick. So he's literally looking at kind of cementing the ground here. But the Mangadai are moving forward. They're going to deal with the Trebuchets oh so quickly like Mangadai do. And they're going to get pushed back again. But he's moving and taking the engagements he needs.
Now, one thing that's been in the back of my mind has been the Genoese crossbow. Will Yo get to a position where he can make lots of Genoese crossbow? Because Genoese crossbow destroy Paladins. I think they're like one of the most OP unique units in certain situations because they wreck Paladins, and already the camels will wreck them too. So Yo will be making the Genoese crossbow, and perhaps that will be the key to also deal with the Mangadai. The siege rams for Shainu. Oh, there's going to be an onager cut as well. They're going to go right into the trade. SY is going to go into the trade any moment now.
Whoa, it's a smart play. I really like it. But like you were saying there, Genoese crossbow, and we have Elite done, so he's absolutely looking for that transition there. He's got the castle numbers back up, so he's going to go for it. But here we go, looking at those Rams, looking at the Onagers. They're going to be able to get in there. Skirmishers moving forward. They're going to try and do the damage where they can.
Tough game to call. This is definitely a game, shows the strength of Frantic. They just will not die, man. And again, to those who are possibly looking for another Oasis game to watch, check out the 3v3 Oasis between Heresy and Frantic, because that was impressive. Frantic have held here somehow, and again, CL's in the trade, but it does seem like that's not going to last long for CL, and they're still unable to pop up. They can't get Tim to Paladin. They cannot protect their trade. And this is becoming more and more of a problem as they lose space.
Oh, man, Vivi's doing a good job trying to wall in as much as possible there, but the fortified walls did not come up in time. I'm looking to see if they can kind of reinforce the area, but
yeah,
the Mangonel, oh man, everyone's just trying to hold everything they can, but the Onagers are just making it so difficult.
Yeah, Siege Onagers on the way as well, so these will be even stronger. Vivi needs Bombard Towers up in the trade, and he's going to get one up, which is helpful, and that means probably two. How's the trade rate doing?
Genoese crossbow numbers. It's getting big.
Yeah. Yeah. That would basically mean that CL would need to get Siege Onager himself, which he can't do right now. He has to put all of his resources into slinging and all of his resources into making Mangadai. Crazy game, though. Look at the amount of Siege Rams that Tim has in the south. That's ridiculous, man.
On top of that as well, Tim is stacking up into Paladin right now. You've got Lix stacking up into well. So yeah, everyone's finally starting to get to their endgame compositions.
Now, how much damage is Yo going to do in the trade? You just have to look at the trade counts. And with the trade counts, you'll see that it's pretty even. Positionally much better for the SY team, but they have not been able to push. Well, let me take that back. They're obviously pushing, but they haven't been able to put the final nail in the coffin.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Looking at this, it looks like those Genoese will get cleaned up here. They've done quite a bit of damage, though, actually, looking at this. Like you said, melting through some of those Paladins, forcing the Mangadai out of position here as well. But at the same time, Yo, Shainu, they've kind of lost their momentum here a little bit. But looking at that siege from the Saracen player, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, I think now Shainu will mix in 5 to 10 Siege Onagers on both sides, which, if you get one big shot versus the Mangadai, it can all be worth the investment. Problem with Mangadai is they can also shred Siege, and CL has been playing amazing this game. So if he continues to play amazing, he can just kill the Siege Onagers, and it won't be worth the investment.
I'm just still impressed. We've got Conquistadors going down the south here. I really thought they all would have been dealt with by now. But is that a Condicherio I see there from Lix?
I think that he'll probably stop making them. In fact, it might have been a misclick when he was trying to make Halbs or something, because Condottiero doesn't make too much sense as it's anti-gunpowder.
Yeah,
they
I was
just
trying
need
to figure that one out.
They just need to go continue with their push, and wow, now Lix is going to run right into the trade of Frantic. They have to kill castles of yellow. They killed one, and they have to continue to push with Bombard Towers and Rams, and Tim now is at 130 pop. This is the lowest he's been in a long time. Frantic might be near death now. Yep.
And it looks like the stables are going to be next. The Siege Rams from Lix are moving out. He's going to get into the production, keep forcing him back into that corner, which again makes it so much harder to defend the trade every second you get as well. Looks like he does have enough units there to kind of hold it for now. But we've got the Bombard Towers coming down behind this as well, which makes it more and more difficult. But look at the Genoese crossbowmen up to the north. Yep. We can see Yo has really kind of hit the numbers there. So those Paladins becoming basically useless.
Yeah, Paladins no longer helpful. Vivi is researching Onager now, and I feel like Onager will not be enough unless he gets a few fortunate shots. And this is where Yellow has his castles. He only has 4. He's going to be down to 3 any moment now. Could be 2, could be 1. This is possibly the end for Frantic now. They've lost so much map control, man. They only have 25, maybe 30% of the map.
Oh, man. The thing is that they've still got their trade alive just.
Yeah.
And as long as that hangs in there, they're going to have a little bit of gold to work with. But Literally, it's so close that basically Shainu can just run in there, do some damage. The Bombard Tower is, of course, going to help provide a little bit of support here, but it's just looking absolutely devastating right now. Tim is losing all his production. He's still got Paladins going for the get-go, though, doing everything he can here. But again, the population for him, it's just getting so low, still sitting around 135. Whereas you look over towards SY, they've got, man, they're basically getting more towards maxed out every second.
Yeah, and that means they're banking up resources. Mr. Yo has 4,000 gold in the bank. So these bombard cannons are essentially trash for him now because he has so much trade. And Yellow's losing his castles. Vivi's desperately trying to repair his ally's castle. And I think the end is near now. This has been a great game. But I think that for Frantic, they will probably regret how they played it in Feudal Age and Castle Age, as they had a huge lead at the start, and that all kind of withered away.
This is just turning into just... it's a bit of a massacre now. Tim actually just doesn't have... Like, look at it. He actually doesn't have the production buildings.
No, and he doesn't have the resources either, really. You're not going to have food to make the Paladins. CL is actually sending food and wood to Tim so he could do something. They know that if they lose this best of 5, they are out of this section of the tournament and the semis. But all that Lix is doing is just building Bombard Tower on Bombard Tower. And when you have that additional trade in gold, you can buy the stone. It's like a nothing map here now. We have 283 gold you need to spend for 100 stone, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, that's it. The towers are sitting up so well, and the castles at the moment producing a lot of the units we really kind of need to see in play here. So that stone cost, it's marginal at the moment for what they need out of it. But looking at it, I'm just trying to see anything that can be happened here, but the big kind of thing we're going to be running into is CL's economy is about to go down as well. As soon as they're done tearing down the rest of Tim's barracks here, it's straight into the economy.
It is over. It is over. There's no way back. There is no way back. The reason they're continuing is because they know that this is a best of 5, and that if they lose this, SY wins 3-1. And ladies and gentlemen, there it is. SY gets the victory against all odds after Lix was down to 18 villagers in Feudal Age.
What?
That's what's crazy to me, is they had such a big advantage. They even had an advantage in the north. Sorry, not SY, but Frantic had an advantage in the south and the north. And they didn't take advantage of that correctly. I really think this comes back on the Fat Dragon. I think, remember I mentioned it, Vivi's tower didn't make sense to me. Already had forward control. They needed to get the walls up. And it was just as simple as that. They didn't get the walls up. And because they didn't have walls, they had to tap out of this one as they lost the corner. And that momentum from Yo and Shainu was just too hard to stop.
That pretty much sums up exactly what we saw there, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for our first set here tonight. We do have another 2, I begin. We have the semis finishing up with the next set. We'll see who kind of makes it through, and then we will be having the finals of the 3-3. This is what we were after. We've had some amazing teams come through. We've had some amazing knockouts thus far. We don't know exactly who's going to be our second team yet in the finals, but if it's anything like the play we've been seeing thus far, it's not going to be any better than this.
Yeah. I think that the next set will be even better. I really do. Going into today, I was excited for SY versus Frantic because of the 2 best teams in China, and I was really pumped to see how they would perform. But I think AM and Suomi, the next set, next best of 5, those are 2 amazing teams with a lot to prove, I'd say. So I'm even more excited for that one, man.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
We are going to take a... sorry, go ahead, Turkman.
Nah, I was just going to back up what you said, man. Both of them have a lot to prove at this stage. Everyone's been thinking they were some of the strongest teams going in, but let's cut it.